Chapter 10. 9 Dragons Day, 4, you are listening at novelfull.audio. 9 Dragons Day, 4. That's the young master. A man who looked to be around the age of 20. I cringed at the sight of him throwing a tantrum. No, hold on. Why is a member of the Peng clan here? No, to mention the fact that a member carrying the royal blood of Peng clan was causing a mess like a kind in front of everyone. Nah, no way. There was no way that this was the actual young master of the Peng clan. It had to be a scammer. A scammer with balls of steel. Impersonating the young master of one of the 4 noble clans was going to put him in a lot of trouble. However, at this point, yesterday's memory of me running into Peng he suddenly flashed through my mind, but I quickly erased the thought, or at least, I tried to. None of this made sense. Something had to be wrong somewhere. Plus, in my previous life, I never heard about the young master of Peng coming to the 9 Dragons ceremony, so this was going to be handled without any problems. Surely. What's going on? As I was about to ignore the situation and leave, I ran into the second elder. Some weirdo is causing trouble. I gave him a quick answer and once again planned to leave. I had some business, so I wanted to leave as soon as possible. But the second elder stopped me. I was looking for you since this morning. My back has been aching a lot. What nonsense are you on about? You look even healthier than me. I noticed it yesterday too, but you've suddenly gotten better at talking back to me. It'd be nice if your martial skills also got better like that. He ruffled my hair and head again. Ugh, I feel dizzy. Ugh. Why were you looking for me? He could have ordered the servants, so why did he take the matter into his own hands? Nothing important. After the match ends. So why am I not allowed? I showed you everything that I needed to show. Must I show my shadow arts in order for you to believe me? Please sir, try to calm down. We are also. No. I told you, I don't have much time. You said anyone with a certificate is allowed. The second elder's gaze turned towards the man. Shadow martial arts were a type of martial art passed down to the Peng clan. Not only that, but it was a martial skill only passed down to those of the bloodline of Peng. I wanted to stop the second elder as I didn't like where this was going, but he was already out of my reach. Shit. You are the son of Peng. The second elder was suddenly in front of the man claiming to be the young master of Peng. Greetings to the second elder. All the men showed respect to him when they saw him. Of course, the people who signed up for the competition were also staring at the sight. Right, it is good to see you all working diligently. You're the son of Peng. The man fixed his posture after hearing the elder's words. I am Peng Wujin, young master of the Peng clan. It is an honor to meet the Flaming Fist of Gu. Flaming Fist was a title given to the second elder. The second elder smirks at Peng Wujin's words. Did getting greeted with his title put him in a good mood? So you are the son of Peng. Your physique definitely says so. Your face also looks just like that sucker lord of yours. To call the lord of the Peng clan a sucker. No matter how I looked at it, the word manly definitely suited the second elder. So, why did you come here? I came here to support the swordsman of Gu. You are the young master of Peng, yet you left the swordsman at your place. It's no fun there. The second elder laughs at Peng Wujin's response. It was as if he was talking to a madman. You are a madman. The Peng clan has a madman in their family. Thank you, sir. I hear that a lot. It's not a compliment. I suddenly noticed a black ring on the hands of Peng Wujin. It was the same ring that Peng he had. Damn it, he is real. Why the hell is he here doing all this nonsense? I came here as I heard that anyone with a certificate may enter. But they refused to let me in even though I had shown everything to them. Did you come here after getting permission from the Lord of Peng? There was no way he was going to let me leave, so I ran away. He really was a madman. You really are a madman. For the first time, I agreed with the second elder. This guy really was a madman. The second elder smirked again after looking at his body. He looks kinda perverted. Your body is well built. Your age. I turned 23 this year. Such a body, and at such a young age as well. Peng is raising a dragon. I wish our little rascal would be at least half like you. Was he referring to me when he said rascal? However, I didn't feel hurt even though I was being compared to him, since if that man was really Peng Wu-jin of Peng, then he was indeed a dragon. Sword King Peng Wu-jin. That was the title he was given in the future, at a point not too far from now. The leader of the Heavenly Black Army was known to be equal to one of the Heavenly Venerables, disgraced Venerable. Bijou. Him being equal to one of the Heavenly Venerables meant that he couldn't at all be compared to other martial artists. But he died in a battle against Peng Wu-jin. It was said that he was already tired from previous battles before he faced Peng Wu-jin, but Peng Wu-jin still won despite facing him alone. When Bijou heard the news, they themselves gave Peng Wu-jin the Sword King title. The second elder smirked while stroking his long beard. He showed his certificate and seems to be battle ready, so isn't it okay? What on earth did he just say? The guard seemed to have trouble with the elder's words, just like I did. But Lord Second Elder, even then. What's the problem? Isn't this what he wants? Yes, my lord. I would love to enter the 9 Dragons competition. I really want to work as a swordsman of Gu. See, he wants this himself. The eyes of the guards shook as if there was an earthquake. They didn't know what to do with this situation. When the cold sweats of the guards were about to make a puddle on the ground, a savior appeared. Brother. The person who appeared with a loud voice was Peng he. You idiot. She proceeded to kick him hard in the stomach. She definitely put chi into that kick. Ugh. Peng Wu-jin, who got sucker kicked in the stomach, flew a short distance, then fell and rolled along the ground. Geez, that looked like it hurt. Is he dead? You idiot, you earned the title of young master but you run away after leaving a short letter. Peng he, who wasn't satisfied by a single kick, rushed over to Peng Wu-jin and started raining more on him. Thankfully, Peng Wu-jin didn't die. Sadly, he started letting out more screams. Ugh. Ack. Wait. Wait. You run away only to become the swordsman of another clan. Are you seriously out of your mind? Damn, that's a spot she shouldn't kick him at. Your brothers, gonna die. Hold, on a sec ow. Then die. Die, you idiot. Who's gonna be the lord if I die? Who cares? Even a dog would be better than you. Arg. I looked away from the brutal sight. The second elder also scratches his cheek, troubled by the situation. I carefully walked towards the second elder and spoke to him. Is it alright to leave them like that? He's really going to die if we let them be. The men of the Peng clan are built so well that even beating them up with the strongest steel won't kill them. Don't worry about it. Save me, are you sure? Peng he took a breath and calmed down a little after beating up the man like a doll. Peng Wu-jin, meanwhile, still laid on the ground, emanated an aura that made one uncertain as to whether he was still alive or not. Get up. Peng he spoke in an icy tone, but Peng Wu-jin continued lying on the ground, now seeming to be more dead than alive. If you don't get up, I'm going to destroy your genitals with a brick. I'm up. Peng Wu-jin shot up immediately, cold sweat streaming down his back upon hearing the unimaginably brutal words. Peng he let out a deep sigh while looking at Peng Wu-jin. She seemed to have a lot of thoughts. Well, I found you, so it doesn't matter. Let's go back home, brother. People who were wearing black appeared behind Peng he. They were members of the Peng clan, who were also included among Peng he's escorts. Peng he, who was momentarily shocked when she saw me in the second elder, came over to us. I apologize for causing so much trouble. You are the daughter of Peng. Yes, I am Peng he, flaming fist sir. Unlike your brother, you seem to be educated well. That bear of a man really has some great kids. A bear-like man calling another man a bear. We won't forget about the troubles we have caused here and will surely repay you. We will take our leave now so that we don't cause any more trouble. I'm not going back, he. Peng he turns around and looks at Peng Wujin with axe-like eyes. You're really going to keep bullshitting? I'm not bullshitting. I have no plans to go back to the Peng clan. What's the reason then, brother? Why are you acting like this? The Peng clan is no fun. Why is that madman always talking about having fun? Peng he responds as if she also read my mind. Then the Gu clan is fun. Are all the other clans more fun than the Peng? Why are you always on about having fun in other places? It's probably more fun than our place at least. Brother, please grow up. You are the young master. Exactly why I must have fun before I become the Lord. The only way to not become the Lord is to either die or become half-disabled, and I don't like those choices. Peng Wujin's eyes showed that he had already made up his mind. I may not want to become the Lord, but I don't see anyone else worthy enough to become one. Besides you, everyone in the clan are just a bunch of beasts who have the name of Peng, and they can't beat me even if they all fought me at once. He harshly judges the other members of his bloodline as he speaks. He may have come off as someone with too much pride and arrogance, but he definitely had the talent to back it up. But then I can't let you become the Lord, so I'll inevitably become the Lord one day. That is the reason why I accepted the young master title, which I loathe and find annoying. I somehow saw justification in the madman's reasoning, as if I myself had gone insane while listening to his rant. Peng he rubbed her temples. It seemed she'd gotten a headache because of the situation. Then, the second elder stepped in. I was going to let him participate as this old man thought it'd be fun, but since I have to think about the Peng clan's perspective, let's make a deal. At the second elder's words, Peng he looked at him nervously while Peng Wujin looked at him with visible excitement. I'll let you in if you beat me in a battle. What nonsense are you on about? I was expecting him to say something smart, but nope. Even if Peng Wujin becomes one of the strongest in the future, he still had a lot to learn as of now. There was no way he was going to beat the elder. Wait, you don't even have to beat me by brute force. I'll count it as a win if you can hit me in 10 attacks. That's it. Peng Wujin lit up at the words of the second elder. Peng he, who was behind them, only looked at them nervously, unable to interfere. Yes, I'll let you have 10 attacks. You win if you can so much as touch my clothes within those 10 attacks. Peng Wujin pulled out his sword and got into his battle stance as soon as the conversation ended. Wait. They are going to do it here when there are so many people here. Wait. I was going to stop them, but the second elder punched at Peng Wujin's face in a flash. Pow! Peng Wujin fell to the ground after making a sound that shouldn't have been produced by a mere punch. His fall was different from when he rolled to the ground after Peng he's attacks. He might have actually died this time. I controlled my strength, so he'll be up soon. Second elder, weren't you only going to dodge? I never said that. This old man. Anyways, this problem is solved now, right? But even so, was punching the guy really the only option, especially when the guy you punched is the young master? If a man is annoying, shutting them up is the solution. It's just that violence shouldn't be the way. How dare you say violence? It was a duel. But you said he wins if he touches your clothes. Doesn't that mean he won since he touched your fist? When I stabbed him with facts, the second elder let out a fake cough. He definitely didn't think that far ahead. Chapter 11. 9 Dragons Day, 5, you are listening at novelfull.audio. 9 Dragons Day, 5. The Peng clan attendants went to retrieve Peng Wu-jin, who lay sprawled out on the ground after taking the blow from the second elder. Peng he thanked the second elder for it, but looking at the red swelling on Peng Wu-jin's face made me wonder if this was really okay. Peng he did say he deserved it. It was mutually agreed upon, the second elder reminded me. In any case, I moved to distance myself. If the Peng clan complains about this in the future, please tell them I had nothing to do with this. Don't worry, I'll make sure to tell them you were involved. Wait, what fault did I have in this? You didn't stop us when you could have, Yangchen, so you're also at fault. What is this old man on about? How the hell am I supposed to stop you when you jumped in right away and floored him with a single punch? Is what I wanted to say, but after watching the second elder beat the shit out of Peng Wu-jin in a hit, I decided to hold on to my words. I'll tone it down a little. Peng Wu-jin was probably able to withstand the blow just because he was Peng Wu-jin. If I had gotten hit by that, I probably would have died on the spot. I decided that it was better to be safe with my body and stop acting out in a way that might invite such a blow upon me. In the midst of all this, YCOL.A was looking at the second elder with sparkling eyes. What are those shiny eyes for? Young master. Pow. And he went down. That's so cool. Are you talking about the second elder beating the crap out of Peng Wu-jin? Is there anyone not supposed to be scared by that? Does it make sense for her to watch that and say it's cool? The second elder, now in a good mood, laughed at YCOL.A's remark. This pretty young lady here knows what's up. Then he took out a yagua and gave it to YCOL.A. I'll give you this for complimenting this old man. Whoa. Yagua. You are awesome, Bear Grandpa. Bear. Ha ha ha. This old man looks that strong, huh? No, I think she's just calling you a bear because of how you look. Was also something I couldn't say. The second elder smiled and let YCOL.A be, even though he technically had reason to be mad since she was showing too much transgression for a servant. Is it because of her beauty? Or because she is young? Well, everything went well, so whatever. The second elder turned away from YCOL.A, who had quieted down after receiving her yagua. Yangchen. Yes. About what I was saying earlier, before I got interrupted, come to think of it, he did say he was looking for me. The second elder continued as I gave him a curious look. There is a fight one must attend after the 9 Dragons competition ends. You're participating in a bout. Who are you trying to kill this time? I didn't even kill anyone last time. Also, it's not me who's going, but you. Excuse me. What the heck is he on about? Me. All of a sudden. Why would I have to participate in such a hassle? At around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the 9 Dragons competition finally began. People from all over Shaanxi were participating, so there were hundreds of people in attendance. I had no clue how this could even finish within a day, let alone in the handful of hours before sunset as it was scheduled to. For now, I was just going to watch, so it was easier than actually fighting or judging the series of bouts. Too bad I now had to deal with a slight uneasiness about my own upcoming fight. I hope these fights just never end. I would have an excuse to escape my newest obligation if the preceding matches lasted too long. The 9 Dragons competition was fun. Most people spectating probably found it amusing to watch people show off their martial skills. I wasn't any different. It was exciting to see a spearman step up after a while. He was a martial artist that was able to take the advantage of the long reach a spear had. Unfortunately, his opponent was a sword maiden. That wasn't really a complimentary matchup. But even then, the Sword Maiden kept her calm. She dodged all of the spearman's attacks while still keeping an eye on him. Distant relative, she said, right. The Sword Maiden had introduced herself as a distant relative of the Gu clan. She'd said her name was Gu, something. Hiya. The constant dodging eventually got to the spearman and he started swinging his spear more fiercely, although he still only cut through empty air. I was able to see that he had put a lot of effort into his training. But his impatience acted like poison. Putting unnecessary strength into his attacks only made him lose his focus. His opponent could then take advantage of that. This match was already over. The Sword Maiden struck away the spear as it rebounded off the ground after a failed attack. Then, with the spearman caught off balance, the Sword Maiden stepped in and re-engaged him at a much closer range. The spearman couldn't do anything now that he had let the Sword Maiden narrow the distance. He tried to swing his spear again, but the blade of the sword had already arrived to point at his neck. The spearman let out a sigh and stepped back, admitting his defeat. His face was full of disappointment. After that, the judge announced the result of the match. Gu Sunyeol wins. So her name was Gu Sunyeol. It was an entertaining fight, but I guessed she wasn't going to become great enough to spread her name around much in the future. Or maybe it was just me not remembering her. That girl will be picked, for sure, the second elder said with confidence. Being able to maintain composure as a martial artist was a great skill to have. She would definitely be selected one day, if not today. How much time left? When I looked, only half of the fights remained. I was expecting for the event to take much longer with the hundreds of people participating, but since each duel was so short, it seemed like it was already going to finish up soon. On the first day, I had wanted to be done with all of this as fast as possible, but now I was praying that the second day's events would never end. I stared at the second elder with resentment. The second elder talks to me as he notices me staring. How come you are eyeing this old man with so much animosity? Don't misunderstand. I'm looking at you with respect. Even that mouth of yours is talking to me with so much animosity. The second elder laughs as I let out a sigh. All because of the battle of blood relatives that I had to participate in. The only blood relatives in attendance were me and Gu Yansio, so it was obvious who my opponent would be. I asked what made this all happen, and the second elder said that he had suggested it, thinking it would be fun, and the rest of the elders actually liked the idea enough to implement it. The whole fun part reminded me of how Peng Wu-jin got beaten up. Well, not like I can just teach the second elder a lesson. Beating him up was impossible, which led me to wonder if I could even get a hit in on him in the first place. Don't worry. I turned to the person who just spoke, Gu Yansio. No one is expecting anything from you. You don't need to worry about being embarrassed when it's already so obvious. Since you are a blood relative, I'll end it painlessly. How considerate of you. I'm so thankful. So thankful that tears were welling up in my eyes. Gu Yansio had an air of confidence that showed she didn't even consider herself losing. It was probably why she had gladly agreed to the second elder's idea. She even looked happy about it. To be fair, it was indeed obvious. Comparing the me who never put effort into anything I did to a genius who heaped tons of effort into everything she did was like looking at the difference between the ground and the sky. It's probably better for me to forfeit, right? I was legitimately at a rock-bottom state where I couldn't go lower than what I was at right now. My name was already stained enough that one more black mark wouldn't do anything to make the blemish any darker than it already was. Yangchen, let me tell you in advance. The second elder whispered quietly to me. If you are even thinking about forfeiting, I might accidentally hit you with a bit of strength. Forfeit? Of course not, this mess of a household. No one was normal. I'd already had the thought before, but unfortunately, time wasn't something I could control. The 9 Dragons competition wrapped up in a flash, and the moment I was dreading had arrived. Lights came on at sunset. This year, a total of 21 new people were selected as new Gu swordsmen. The next day would be a festival. Of course, I had initially planned to leave inconspicuously after 2 days of staying here. But then I had to get thrown into this mess. I had already received so much negative attention in my previous life that I figured I would be happier without any attention at all in this life. I thought it would be great to live, quiet and peaceful, without needing anyone to acknowledge my existence. But that plan of mine might be a tad bit, no, a huge bit ruined with this, so yeah. I saw Gu Yanxiu already standing out in the open arena. Her posture and the way she held her sword showed a bit about her skill as a martial artist. I really don't want to go, I spoke to the second elder with an accusing tone. You really want to see me get beaten up in front of so many people? This old man was a demon in both this life and the last. The second elder gave a weird smile at my resentment. Filled words. Then, he said, you're really not going to win. I stopped at the second elder's words as I was about to step up into the arena. What are you going on about again with your nonsense? What do you mean, not going to win? It's more like I can't win. Right, if you say so. This guy acts like a fox, even though he has the appearance of a bear. Ignoring the second elder's words, I stepped forth onto the arena floor. Asterisk in the night sky, there hung a solitary moon. It was a waxing crescent tonight. The arena was calm and quiet now that all the other fighters had left. There were still many people watching from the spectator stands, but in the arena itself, there were just 2 people standing. To make the blood relatives fight for people's entertainment, even for the second elder, I thought he was going a bit far. You aren't going to use a sword? Gu Yanxiu asked as I stretched my body. A sword? Did I use a sword at this point of time? The Gu clan fought with either swords or fists. We were a little different compared to the Ping, Moyong, and Namgung clans, who only used swords. The Gu clan flame arts could be channeled through any kind of melee weapon. And among them, swords, along with fists, were the most compatible with our flame arts. For me in particular, the most efficient way to fight was with my fists. I've decided not to use a sword, it doesn't really fit my fighting style. You say that so easily, even though you haven't even put in any effort and time to justify your decision. Gu Yanxiu didn't know what I had been doing recently, so it was obvious that she would look at it that way. But I decided not to talk back, since it would look like I was only giving excuses if I did. Gu Yanxiu spoke. Do you know how long it's been since our last bout? Nope. It's been a long time. I've always been longing for the next one. This time I can officially beat you up. Not that I really want to do it in front of all this crowd, though. How could you say such a scary thing so effortlessly? Most of my memories were faint. I had forgotten a lot of things. But the last bout I had with Gu Yanxiu in my previous life was something I still remembered vividly. It wasn't just a sparring match. Gu Yanxiu had been pointing her sword, engulfed in flames, at me, Flaming Sword. That was the title eventually given to Gu Yanxiu. The name really fit her quite well. Even facing the image of a destroyed man, one with tears in his eyes and blood leaking from his lips, even then, she still brutally attacked with the single-minded intention of slaughtering him. That was something that I could still recall vividly. You sick bastard, I will be the one to kill you. Me, and me alone. It was raining that day. But it wasn't raining right now. That event had yet to occur in this life, and I was now in a situation where I needed to prevent it from ever happening again. I had to keep this in mind at all times. I'd always wanted to, if only I just had the chance. But you'd always run away before I could. That baby face of hers, along with her voice that still sounded like a kid even now, they were completely different from the fully matured appearance and voice she'd had in my past life. But the way she drew her sword against me was the same. It was a wooden sword rather than a steel sword, but was still far too similar to her appearance that day. Gu Yanxiu spoke to me again while I was trapped in the memory of my previous life. I hate you. Her words were far from kind, but I came back to my senses thanks to that. I know. I already knew. There was no way I didn't, considering how much she showed it when we were all alone. I hate how you don't ever put effort into anything, and how you have a trash personality even though you were born as a son of the Gu clan, and would ride on the clan's coattails. I'm aware, but hearing it first hand does hurt. I understood her. Even I would hate myself if I had to meet the past me. It's funny how I think I'm different now. That was something I didn't even know the answer to begin with. Begin. The second elder shouted with Qi amplifying his voice. My ears felt numb as I was caught off guard. Gu Yanxiu immediately bolted forward, as if she had been waiting just for that moment. She didn't show an ounce of mercy, even to a weakling like me. I felt Gu Yanxiu's heat as she narrowed the distance. It was the heat from a practitioner who had reached the third realm of the Gu flame arts. The emanating heat permeated through the surroundings. She really has no intention of holding back even a little. Gu Yanxiu's form as she swung her sword truly showed the efforts she had put into her training. The movement seemed flawless. I stepped back, and bent my torso to dodge the attack. Gu Yanxiu's eyes widened. She hadn't expected me to be able to dodge that. But she immediately continued to dish out more attacks. All of her strikes were aiming for my vital points. At this point, all I could do was dodge using my basic physique. Using Qi while relying on this weak body only meant that I would stiffen up when I needed to stay relaxed instead. All of the attacks coming at me were definitely fast and critical, but I could still evade them by moving just a beat faster each time. I felt myself breathing heavily already. In my head, I thought about how to end this in the most natural manner, without getting beaten half to death or making the second elder suspicious. You're still the same person who only knows how to dodge. Gu Yanxiu exclaimed while continuing to swing her sword. I was almost able to physically visualize her ferocity with how blatantly vicious her strikes were. Although, I still managed to survive her offense unscathed. Gu Yanxiu clenched her teeth progressively harder as none of her attacks had landed. The confident aura from earlier was nowhere to be seen. What was she so impatient for? Then, she stepped back to create more distance between us and shifted into her battle stance. From within her wooden sword, some sort of heat rose up. That looked dangerous. I definitely can't let that strike hit me. Gu Yanxiu, who had just broken through to the third realm a while ago, was able to infuse her flame arts into her wooden sword. This meant that she was already closing in on ascending to the fourth realm. It was an incomplete and scuffed technique. Qi, on the other hand, was still unstable. When I took a quick glance at the second elder, he was watching with his hands on his chin, implying that he somehow found our spar amusing. He had no intention of helping me. Shit. Can I dodge this while also making it look like I get hit? I felt like I could do it, but the risk seemed a little too high. What should I do? Gu Yanxiu's wooden sword now had a faint red aura enveloping it. Her hand was shaking, as she couldn't fully handle the Qi circulation yet. You don't do anything, you have no talent, and you never put in any effort to make up for it. But just because you are a son. She rambled on, as if her mind was a little shaken from trying to use too much Qi. Again, I fully understood Gu Yanxiu's feelings. I knew why she hated me and found it completely justified, so I was able to accept it all. However, Gu Yanxiu kept on talking after that. If you're living like that, then you should just disappear, just like your mother. What? She said something she shouldn't have. Gu Yanxiu rushed at me swathed in Qi. The arena cracked under the strength she exerted into her feet. However, her attack, infused with all her rage, made her impatient and easy to read. I tilted my body enough to dodge her sword. As she registered that the opponent she had tried to strike was not there, she lost her balance, unable to control her power. She reacted quickly and tried to balance herself, but, without hesitation, struck my fist into her face. Chapter 12. 9 Dragons Day, 6, you are listening at novelfull.audio. 9 Dragons Day, 6. Peng Ah, he had been dealing with a headache a little before the 9 Dragons competition started. The second elder putting Peng Wu-jin down was good, but after he woke up, he still insisted that he wouldn't go back to his clan just yet. Still looking like he was about to doze off, Peng Wu-jin stood up with his swollen face, gave a hollow smile, and said, "I didn't expect that one." Peng Wu-jin accepted that he would go back to his clan as promised. But he insisted on only leaving after watching the 9 Dragons competition, as he didn't want to end his trip without gaining anything from it. Peng Wu-jin was a young master. He held the next highest position in the Peng clan after the Lord and the Elders, and would one day inherit that title. None of the Peng clan members present, including Peng Ah, could order him around. "I'll return after watching this." "What makes you want to watch this so badly?" "It's a pity. To just come here and leave with empty hands." "What do you mean, pity?" "It's just a process of picking new swordsmen that our Peng family also holds. Let's just go back to the clan. If you keep arguing like this, I'm gonna go complain to the Flaming Fist second elder. I'll tell him, isn't this too unreasonable?" Peng Ah, he shut her mouth at Peng Wu-jin's words. She knew that this idiot would actually dare to go through with it. In the end, because Peng Wu-jin promised to return after the competition, she allowed it. "Fine, just one more day. One day is fine." Thus, she brought Peng Wu-jin to the arena while cooling her ire. Heaven Market offered them a VIP spot as they belonged to the noble Peng clan, but Peng Wu-jin refused. He said that he didn't deserve it, as his presence was neither expected nor called for. So, they sat in the normal seats, receiving constant glances from the people around them. They kept gawking at the pair of siblings since they couldn't believe they were sitting next to people wearing the prestigious Peng clan's robes, but the difference in status also meant they were unable to talk to the two of them. Thus, they kept staring. Peng Ah, he was feeling a bit sick from the unwanted attention, but Peng Wu-jin didn't care one bit. He also somehow had dumplings in his hands from whenever and wherever he'd bought them. "Brother. When did you buy those?" "I bought them a while ago." "When exactly was a while ago? How the hell did he buy them when I swear he was next to me this whole time?" Peng Wu-jin was simply an unpredictable person. The elders might argue back and forth over whether his talent as a martial artist was truly the greatest in history, but it was absolutely undeniable fact that he was a bizarre person. He ran away so that he could have fun. Wrinkles formed in Peng Ah's face when she reminded herself of that moment. It's starting, Whether he knew of her frustrations or not, Peng Wu-jin cheerfully took in the festivities with dumplings in his hands. The 9 Dragons competition was nothing new for Peng Ah. As someone from one of the 4 noble clans, she had grown up along with great and famous martial artists. Therefore, she didn't find the idea of watching people from lesser clans battling against each other particularly exciting. Of course, there were a few individuals here and there that caught her attention, but no one was spectacular enough to hook her attention for very long. Peng Ah, he stared at Peng Wu-jin. He seemed to be amused by the bout, but also had an empty look in his eyes. Peng Wu-jin had been like that ever since he was young. What he was thinking, and why he would only look for fun with all his talent, Peng Ah. He didn't know. The look he had made it seem like he was always ready to leave the clan whenever he wanted, but he accepted the position of young master without any complaints anyways. And then, he ran away, all the way to the Gu clan in Shangxi. A person who could disappear at any moment. That was what she thought about Peng Wu-jin, and it honestly scared her. The reason Peng Ah, he accepted the Lord's request to find Peng Wu-jin along with the others was not only because of the guilt she felt that day. The sunlight faded, and night gradually fell. All the fights of the 9 Dragons competition had ended. Let's return now, brother. However, Peng Wu-jin was still sitting as motionless as a rock upon hearing Peng Ah-He's words. Brother. She looked in the direction Peng Wu-jin was staring at and saw someone in the middle of the empty arena. That person is, she was a rather tall girl with hair tied back, and red clothing representing the Gu clan's lineage. Gu Yanxiu was her name, right? They had met from time to time at Orthodox faction gatherings. Needless to say, Gu Yanxiu's elder sister Gu Huibi was quite talented, and she had heard that Gu Yanxiu possessed talent that rivaled Gu Huibi. Gu Yangchen also stepped into the arena shortly after. He had an expression that suggested, "I don't want to be here," written all over his face. It looked as if he just chewed on a bug. Why is that guy coming onto the stage? They are holding a match between blood relatives. Confused at what Peng Wu-jin was saying, Peng Ah, he looked at him and saw a weird piece of paper in his hands. The battle between the blood relatives will begin shortly after the end of the 9 Dragons competition. Your support and patronage is much appreciated. When did you get that? They gave it to me when we arrived here. Just when? She looked back towards the arena. It seemed like Gu Yanxiu and Gu Yangchen were conversing, but she was unable to hear them due to the distance. It was the same when she tried enhancing her hearing with qi. Peng Wu-jin spoke. That won't work, the arena is surrounded with a qi barrier. A barrier. A barrier of this size. It was probably done by that flaming fist senior. Peng Ah, he understood the facial expression on Gu Yangchen's face. He had no chance of winning the fight. She knew, more than anyone, about Gu Yangchen's martial arts capability. He had nothing to show compared to his blood relatives. He would only end up rolling on the ground if he faced Gu Yanxiu. If she were in Gu Yangchen's place, having to go through this humiliation in front of all this crowd would probably make Peng Ah, he hang herself in embarrassment. For the first time in her life, Peng Ah, he pitied Gu Yangchen. While the Gu siblings were still holding their conversation, the second elder let out a qi-infused shout qi that signaled the start of their fight. Gu Yanxiu immediately charged at Gu Yangchen. Peng Ah, he was astounded by Gu Yanxiu's speed. So fast. Her footwork and swordplay were flawless, without any unnecessary movements, and her balance was truly commendable. Attack after attack flowed forth, seamless and unceasing. Her constant offensive, performed without an ounce of hesitation, truly showed how much effort she had put into her training. Could I beat her if we fought right now? She honestly wasn't sure. She didn't have the confidence to cross swords and emerge victorious against the Gu Yanxiu who was elegantly wielding her blade in the arena. She felt that her pride as a direct descendant of the Peng clan dwindled. Sword Phoenix's younger sibling, Peng Ah, he noticed that Peng Wujin's eyes were shining as he watched the bout. His previously dim eyes were now gone. When Peng Ah, he looked at that, she had to forcefully suppress a feeling that she disliked. Yes, a blood relative to the Gu clan at that age can only be the younger sibling of the Sword Phoenix. But she couldn't hide her emotions in her voice. Even to the high standards of her eyes, Gu Yanxiu was great. To the point where she got jealous. Those elegant attacks are great, aren't they? It's hard to do that at such a young age. Yes. It's also impressive the way qi is being controlled at each moment. Exactly, all that dodging. Peng Ah, he found Peng Wujin's response weird. Gu Yanxiu dodged an attack. Gu Yangchen was unable to attack back in the first place. Peng Ah, he tracked her brother's line of sight. When she followed his gaze, she found that he was actually looking at Gu Yangchen, rather than Gu Yanxiu. He wasn't looking at Gu Yanxiu. Why? Peng Ah, he couldn't understand. He's one beat faster. What? Look closely, right before the sword moves in to hit him, he moves to dodge a beat faster. He knows where she is going to swing. After hearing Peng Wujin's words, she looked carefully at Gu Yangchen. It was definitely strange. Gu Yangchen's movement was way slower than Gu Yanxiu's. He was not certain about fighting with Gu Yanxiu. But if she fought Gu Yangchen, she had the confidence to beat him in seconds. You're right. But then, how? Gu Yangchen was slower than he and Gu Yanxiu was faster than her. The match should have ended right away based on that speed difference alone, but the two continued their exchange of moves even after Gu Yanxiu had dished out 10 attacks. What's going on? He couldn't understand it at all. When the match still hadn't ended after a while, Gu Yanxiu disengaged and assumed a battle stance, probably in order to finally finish things off. A slight, red aura began to ignite around her sword. It was different from the aura that first-rate sword users had. And also different from the aura of those who had reached the peak. Even to his relatively inexperienced eyes, she noticed that high concentrations of qi were being channeled into the sword. She won't be able to use that. Peng Wujin made a firm statement. How come? That looks impressive. It is impressive indeed. To infuse so much qi at her level, even I wouldn't be able to take that blow. Even Peng Wujin. He was astonished upon hearing his claim. But all you need to do is just dodge it. Trying so hard to use something she isn't used to has made her lose both her posture and breath. An attack made with this kind of impatience is about as good as trash. Even to he, who was only spectating, that evaluation seemed pretty harsh. But Peng Wujin was never wrong when he talked about martial arts. It was at that moment that Gu Yangchen's expression changed. Gu Yanxiu charged in aggressively after she finished preparing her attack. Gu Yangchen didn't do anything special to dodge it. He just took a step back, and tilted his head a little. That was it. But even with such small movements, he completely evaded Gu Yanxiu's attack. And then... Puh! Ha! He hadn't ever turned away from the fight in front of her. However, an incongruous cracking sound pierced her ear, and soon she witnessed Gu Yanxiu collapse on the ground. What? What happened? Amazing! He turned to the voice. Peng Wujin was making a face she hadn't seen in years. Gu clan aren't just sheltering the sword phoenix. He had the expression of a kid who had just discovered something awesome. Elder sister should have been born a man. Such a thought lingered in Gu Yanxiu's mind soon after she turned 10. Not only did Gu Huibi have amazing talent as a martial artist, but she also had the dignity befitting someone of such high standing and ability. At only 15 years of age, her elder sister had earned the vaunted title of Sword Phoenix. Gu Yanxiu was at the same age now, but still wasn't able to earn a title. Even among all the other rising stars within the 4 noble clans and the 10-sect alliance, that legendary title was passed down to her elder sister alone. Gu Yanxiu found her elder sister to be extremely cool and was very proud of her. After her elder sister graduated from Heavenly Dragon Academy, she was promoted to leader of the 5th Gu Swordsman Squadron at around 20 years old. It wasn't an easy task, but everyone admitted she had talent. She had to be accepted because of the talent she had. She was an amazing person, who could only become more capable as time passed. However, she couldn't become the Gu Lord. Gu Yanxiu then thought about her little brother, Gu Yangchen. Gu Yanxiu and her elder sister were both direct children of the clan, while Gu Yangchen was the child of a concubine. But Gu Yanxiu liked Gu Yangchen's mother. She was a kind person. Therefore, Gu Yanxiu had also liked Gu Yangchen. She didn't care whether he was a child of a concubine or not at that age. But then one day, his mother disappeared. It happened in an instant. Gu Yanxiu tried to search for her, but her father ordered her not to. No one in the clan looked for her. It was then that Gu Yangchen started to change. He became violent with his servants and whoever he talked to. He grew lazy and arrogant. There were even rumors about him harassing the pretty servants. He only got worse and worse. Men almost always succeeded the position of lord. Gu Yanxiu's father never got involved with any more concubines after that, which meant that his only son, Gu Yangchen, would become the lord. Not her outstanding sister. Not her, who put in so much effort. My sister should have been born a man. Or at least, I should have been. She hated Gu Yangchen, who had everything without doing anything. She despised Gu Yangchen, who got worse and worse without knowing the privilege he had. Ha! She came back to her senses. She remembered up to the point where she infused her sword with flame qi. In front of her stood Gu Yangchen. The same Gu Yangchen, who should have been much smaller than her, seemed so much bigger right now. Is this a dream? Drip. Something dripped down her nose, so she wiped it with her hands to check. It was blood. Why am I bleeding right now? Is this not a dream? Then why does Gu Yangchen seem so much bigger now? When her vision became clearer, the realization dawned upon her. It was not that Gu Yangchen got bigger, but her line of vision that had lowered. Gu Yanxiu was sitting on the ground of the arena, defeated. What? How? I understand where you are coming from, sister. Gu Yanxiu turned to the voice she heard. You don't like me, I get it. It's fine if you hate me. That won't change anything for me. It was hard to see Gu Yangchen's face because of the lighting that cast shadows onto it. But Gu Yanxiu definitely saw Gu Yangchen's eyes. Gu Yangchen's eyes were hollow. He seemed to feel nothing. He had no rage. No emotions dwelled in his eyes. He was simply looking down at Gu Yanxiu. Gu Yanxiu wanted to run away from those eyes that gave her the chills, but her trembling body was unable to move. The words you threw at me were extremely rotten, but I can understand even that. What did I say to him? Gu Yanxiu recalled what she said to Gu Yangchen. You should have just disappeared, just like your mother. Her heart chilled and sank. That was something she should never have said, no matter how enraged she was at the time. What should I do? Should I apologize to him? Even still, with her rash pride as a 15-year-old kid, the thought of her apologizing to Gu Yangchen made her nauseous. Gu Yangchen continued to speak, without giving regard to what Gu Yanxiu was thinking. I understand it all, so please understand what I'm about to do. She couldn't ask what he was talking about. The last thing Gu Yanxiu saw was Gu Yangchen's palm. Slap. Chapter 13. Obsidian Insignia. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Obsidian Insignia. I messed up, was the first thought Gu Yangchen had when he returned to his place. I'm screwed. Royally screwed. I'm so retarded. Why did I do that? I remembered how Gu Yanxiu collapsed to the ground after being slapped. Her nose was bleeding, too. My body was pretty weak and I didn't put any chi into it, so it probably didn't do any serious damage. But even so, I went too far. I wasn't talking about the slap itself when I said I went too far. That was honestly justified on my part. It was just that I destroyed Gu Yanxiu's reputation. Did I really have to make a Gu blood relative eat dirt so pathetically in front of all that crowd in the middle of our clan's festival? It was understandable that Gu Yanxiu got so hot-headed because of her young age. But I was almost twice her age if I combined both my current age with my previous life's years, and I still let my emotions get the better of me. I'm still so immature, even with all this experience. Wait, wasn't it the second elder's fault that he instigated me into doing all of that at his age? Why was I even asking? Of course it was his fault. Swoosh. Breeze passed me by and left behind a sound that tickled my ears. The spring breeze was still cold, even though winter had already passed. I could withstand the cold, even in light clothing, thanks to my flame chi. Ah-chew, I turned to the sound of the sneeze and found Nguyen and Yseol standing there. YCO. Came over to me while Nguyen gave his greetings. She had a roll of cloth in her hands. What are you holding in your hands? Young master, your hand. I checked my hand. The skin on my palm was peeling off and there was a bit of blood coming out. It was because I had slapped Gu Yanxiu while her body was still swathed in qi. A person with qi inside their body had faster regeneration compared to an average person. An injury like this would heal pretty quickly. This is nothing. I'm fine. Before I could finish, YCO. Rushed to cover my hand with the cloth. She was clumsy with it, as she didn't quite know what to do. I wanted to do it myself, but I couldn't stop her when I saw the tears dripping from her eyes. She looked so cheerful while she was watching the second elder beat up Peng Wu-jin, so to see her act like this at such a small injury threw me off a little. YCO. Wrapping bandages is pretty cool, I guess. The future Zenith was bandaging my hand for me. Wouldn't this be considered an honor? She finally stopped bandaging me after my hand had become twice as thick. YCO. Spoke to me like she was about to start weeping at any second. Young master, does it hurt a lot? It didn't at first, but now I feel like it does after this. So you're saying it doesn't hurt, right? Thank goodness, yeah. Are you only listening to what you want to listen to? I took a little walk in the night and circled around my place. Was Gu Yanxiu alright? Whatever. I decided not to worry about it. Not like this already ruined family relationship was going to be fixed from now. Obviously not for Gu Yanxiu, and obviously not for me, too. When I came back to my place, the lights were already on in my room. I asked one of the nearby servants what was going on. She replied with an astonished expression, saying, "Huh. They said they already informed you." I checked to see who was in my room, so I opened the door and there he was. Oh. Young Master Gu. A lunatic. No, it was Peng Wu-jin. Hello, my name is Peng Wu-jin. I know, Sir Peng. You can just call me Bro Peng or Brother Peng. I don't think we are close enough for me to address you like that. Why is this lunatic here? And why was Peng he covering her face right next to Peng Wu-jin? It looked like she was embarrassed as her ears were all red. Peng he aggressively pulled on her brother's clothes and spoke. Brother. Shouldn't we apologize first for something we did? I was able to hear the embarrassment in her quivering voice. Upon hearing Peng the realization dawned upon Peng Wu-jin. Right. I should have come here alone since you guys broke up. I apologize for not realizing sooner. Oh my god, you moron. I agreed with Peng he. Peng he had no choice but to speak for her brother. Apologies for coming here so late at night without saying anything beforehand. My lunatic of a. My brother really wanted to see you and I couldn't stop him. Sir Peng. Wanted to see me. You may call me Bro Peng. I will pass. I didn't want to be involved with him. Peng Wu-jin just sat still with a smile on his face, not saying anything as the tea that the servants brought grew cold. So what brings you here? Was he here to complain to me about the incident with the second elder? Peng Wu-jin still had a red swelling on one side of his face. That was the spot where he'd gotten hit by the second elder. He said he controlled his strength. How is this him, controlling his strength? Did putting in a bit more strength mean he could make heads explode with his punch? The mere thought of that scared me. It might actually be possible. I really have nothing to do with what the second elder did to you. I swear I tried to stop him. What are you talking about? Is he not here because of that? Peng Wu-jin started to speak as I expressed my confusion. I just wanted to see you since I heard you were the little brother of the Sword Phoenix. You're close with my eldest sister. I had never heard about Peng Wu-jin being close to Gu Huibi. Well, to be honest, I wasn't really close to her either. But if I had to choose, I was probably still closer with Gu Huibi than Gu Yanxiu. I thought of her as close, but I'm not sure how she feels. Then you probably aren't. Gu Huibi's personality was not the type to be friendly with Peng Wujin. It was more likely for her to try initiating a fight instead of a connection with him. That's why I came here to see you. Why do you want to see me? It's not like I'm special or anything. What does he want from a useless guy like me, huh? Plus, our clans in general weren't really on good terms with each other after the engagement was dissolved. Peng Wujin spoke. I thought that the Sword Phoenix was the only fun person in the Gu clan, but there was one more. Was he talking about me? Fun. He was going on about fun again. Like the first time I saw him, he was always looking for fun, which I didn't really get. He definitely is a weirdo. Although, it wasn't that strange, since there weren't many martial arts masters who were normal anyways. Of course, I still didn't want to involve myself with him. It might be beneficial to get into Peng Wujin's good books since he would become the Sword King in the future, but this guy is hard to read. He was very hard to understand because of his bizarre personality. If you want to meet someone from Gu, it would be better to go see my sister instead. I'm not all that special. I probably won't be able to see her if I go there right now, though. You don't have to go now. You can go tomorrow. I wonder if she is still unconscious. I came to see young Master Gu. I don't really have interest in the young lady Gu anyway. Brother, can you please learn to not say some things sometimes? Sorry. I'm not very good at that. What am I going to do with this person? I felt like I was going to get a headache all over again. Peng Wujin took something out of his pocket. This is my gift to you. A gift. The item looked like a small black wooden insignia that had Peng written in gold on it. It didn't particularly seem all that special, but Peng He was shocked as if he had given me something very important. Brother, isn't it absurd for you to just give this away? Who cares, they gave it to me for me to use. Whoever I give it to is my decision. But still, what's this? This is essentially a guest pass to the Peng clan. If you come visit with that, you would be treated just like a Peng clan family member. Please take it back, why was he giving me this? If I took it, I really felt like I was going to be inevitably involved with Peng Wujin. But, I have broken the engagement with your clan, so, I don't care about that. Brother, I care. Please take it, young Master Gu. He ignored Peng he completely. It would be good to have the Peng clan's favor. But I had no idea why Peng Wujin was treating me like this. How about you hold on to it and give it to my eldest sister instead? I heard you were very close, I was going to, but Sword Phoenix didn't even bother listening to me. This is quite the precious thing to have. Why is she refusing it? He already got rejected. Damn it. Then what about my second sister? I'm giving it to you because I'm interested in you. I like women, Sir Peng. Oh, I like women, too, of course. Then again, maybe not. Probably yes. Why are you questioning that? You're giving me goosebumps. Peng Wujin took back the obsidian insignia, seemingly disappointed when I kept refusing it. Peng he couldn't raise her head up after her brother's insane act. Well, at least she was normal. I just wanted to lay down on the bed more as time passed by. Because of the duel, I had used my body too much and was really tired. Peng Wujin, who seemed to notice my fatigue, got up to leave, even though he still seemed disappointed. I guess that was really all he came here for. Peng Wujin asked me a question as he was about to leave. Are you going to enroll in Heavenly Dragon Academy? Probably. To live as a martial artist of the Orthodox faction meant that I would have to get through the Heavenly Dragon Academy set up by the Murim Alliance. Although it was possible to learn enough martial skills within the clan alone, in order to be recognized as a swordsman qualified to close the gates of demons, graduation from a martial academy after being taught everything about demons was required. Of course, martial academies existed in other places as well, and not just at Heavenly Dragon Academy. But for those of the Orthodox faction, it was obvious to enter Heavenly Dragon Academy. Though I should try to think of a way to run away. The education lasted for a whole year. I didn't have the spare time to just waste an entire year like that. Right, then you would become my subordinate. Peng Wu-jin tapped my shoulders with a smile. He was trying to establish ties with me through the academy since his other methods weren't working. Was it because I won against Gu Yanxiu and also slapped her hard afterwards? Why is he so obsessed with me? It would be weird even for a woman to act like that, so a man expressing so much interest towards me gave me goosebumps. He, while following her brother out, stopped to look at me. What? I told you to talk to me formally, I'm older. You said when I speak formally, it makes you sick, so what do you want me to do? He finally continued after hesitating for a while. I apologize. Why are you suddenly apologizing? When I knocked you over and broke your arm on the day our engagement was annulled. You did. I went through such a scary thing. What did I do to make you do such a scary thing? You told me I was the child of a concubine or whatever. I deserved it, then. I honestly probably deserved having both of my arms broken for that. So it was a bit weird to see her apologizing instead. You don't need to apologize. I should be the one to do so instead. I apologize for my conduct back then. As we were both in the same situation, me saying that to her back then only made me a hypocrite. It was just due to my own pride. I didn't know if she accepted my apology or not, but at least her expression seemed to soften up. Take care. Take care as well. And though you may not like what my brother gave you, he gave it with good intentions, so use it whenever you want. Gave me what? I thought I returned that. I sensed something in my pocket. When I searched my pockets, the black wooden insignia came out. When did he? When Peng Wu-jin tapped my shoulders. He put it in then. I let out an empty laugh. What a lunatic. I heaved a sigh and put the black wooden insignia back in my pocket. Asterisk 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 on the third day of the Nine Dragons ceremony. It was the day of celebration and partying, but I got into the carriage to return to the clan as soon as I could. I heard that Gu Yanxiu had already set off at midnight. She woke up, thankfully. I was thankful she woke up without any lasting damage, but it was even harder for me to face her now, when it was already quite difficult before. After the preparations were done, the carriage set off. I was trying to rest, but then Yseol started to lean towards my shoulder as she fell asleep. I quickly passed Yseol to another servant as I also began to doze. Chapter 14. Nightmare 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Nightmare 1. It was dark everywhere. It wasn't nighttime, but it also felt wrong to say that it wasn't dead of the night. I checked if I could at least see the moon. But I couldn't see anything. The clouds and the sky that should have been up there did not exist. Where am I? All the trees around me were burning in flames, and the houses that should have stood here had been turned into ashes. My body was slowly moving forward. However, it wasn't because of my own will. I tried everything to take control of my body, but none of the methods worked. As I was about to take another step, someone grabbed my ankle. When I turned back, I saw a man drenched in blood. White cloth with an embroidered plum blossom symbol. This was the clothing of a well-known clan. Mount Hua sect. Yes, so I was at Mount Hua. All the plum blossom flowers that were supposed to be blooming beautifully had been devoured by raging flames. This venerable sect that had held on to its influence for centuries. All of their history was now burning into ashes. Then I realized. This was a dream. An abhorrent nightmare. How could you? The man spoke to me. Hatred and resentment lingered on his face. He was holding on to my ankle with his left hand, leaving his severed right hand behind. His red eyes made it look like he was crying tears of blood. For what reason? Why are you doing this to us? A loud, raging wail. All around me lay bodies that wore the same white clothing as the man. Everyone, including the little children and the elderly seniors, lay there, dead on the ground. Lying there as if they had been ripped apart by beasts. Are you even human? How could you wear the mask of a human and do this? I broke the silence and uttered. This too wasn't in my domain of control. It has become quiet. What, the celestial plum blossom of Hua who you worshipped with everything you had, has now perished by the hands of our leader. Bullshit. Our leader wouldn't fall by the hands of a demon like that. The Mount Hua you adored has turned into ashes. Can you still not see? Shut up, please. Shut your mouth, you lot can't do anything. How pathetic of you, to hold the name of a venerable clan. I bent my knees to look him in the eye. I saw only one emotion in his eyes. It was fear. Look, I have killed all of the members you cherished and admired, and all the people who cared about you also have been murdered by me. I stroked the man's cheek with my sticky hand. It was covered in the blood of his sworn brothers. Crack. I heard something breaking inside the man's mouth. He clenched his teeth so hard that some of them shattered. The reason why Mount Hua has been reduced into ashes, the reason why you are now like this, is because of how weak and powerless you are. You, your Mount Hua sect, and Celestial Blossom. Shut your mouth, demon. Don't dare utter that name through those filthy lips of yours, you who betrayed the Orthodox faction. You who stabbed them in the back. I twisted his neck as if I had nothing else to talk about. The last man standing on Mount Hua sect died like that. Splash. I felt a presence in the midst of that crimson sea of blood in Mount Hua. I knelt down and showed respect to the figure. I couldn't dare to look. It felt like just the aura alone was distorting the surrounding space. Mount Hua, just like Mount Tai, hid their existence as best as they could when they sensed the blood-curdling presence looming on the horizon. Even just being close to them made all my senses scream, danger. Heavenly demon. So they called themselves. Not bad. I couldn't tell whether they were a man or a woman even though I heard their voice. It sounded as deep as a man's voice, while at the same time a faint semblance akin to a woman's voice lingered in their tone. Heavenly demon flung something towards me. The neck of an old man that had been ripped apart. It was Celestial Plum Blossom, Mount Hua's lord. That he was nowhere near enough to satisfy me, but I was at least able to have a bit of fun with him. He wasn't a heavenly venerable, but he was a man who had strength on par with them. Yet he was still slaughtered with such ease. The heavenly demon, who seemed like they weren't even battling in the first place, looked around and approached me. It looks as if a beast went berserk. They were right in front of me now. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move at all. I think I need to give you a name. I wanted to wake up. I wanted to run away from this nightmare as soon as possible. Why was my mind showing me this scene of carnage? You are. I felt that the heavenly demon were saying something, but I couldn't hear their words completely. Young master, from now on. Young master. I woke up to Ycol.os voice. I was on my way back home to the Gu residence after finishing my responsibilities at the Nine Dragons ceremony. Blurg. As soon as I woke up, I quickly stopped the carriage and went outside. I couldn't hold it in any longer. I hunched over to the ground and puked. I kept heaving, even though I hadn't eaten anything today. Erg. Shit. My body was shaking. Why did I suddenly have this nightmare? It was something I had forced myself to forget. Something I wanted to rip out and discard from my memories. I felt a hand on my back. I turned around and grabbed it. The hand I grabbed with my trembling hands belonged to Ycol.a. Ycol.a was looking at me with an astonished expression. Her trembling eyes reminded me of that man's eyes, quaking in fear. What sort of expression am I even making right now? I didn't have to see it for myself to know. It was definitely a mess. I couldn't control my facial expression. I slowly let go of the hand I was grabbing. Dada hid her fear and calmly patted my back. Million, who was also in the carriage, rushed toward me. Young master. Are you alright? Quickly, medic, I'm fine, so calm down. How are you even supposed to get a medic in this place? We were in the middle of a mountain range. There was no way we would be able to call a medic out here. I tried to calm my breath, but it wasn't easy. The memory of Mount Hua sect's destruction by the demonic cult. When one of the 10. Sect alliance was destroyed in only a day. It was something I wanted to forget, but I became so pathetic when I only faced it in a dream. It's something that never happened, and it's something that won't ever happen. This was something I would repeat to myself hundreds of times in a day. Even while I was walking, eating, or even when I was just breathing, I would tell myself this. God damn it. It was said that humans were creatures that easily forgot their memories. But then, why couldn't I forget those sinful deeds, even after dying once? I wasn't calming down as time passed, so I forcefully tried to stay still by swathing my body in chi. It wasn't the healthiest thing I could have done, but in order to quickly set off again, I had no choice. Flame chi warmed my body up. I had barely any chi to spare, and then I went and used it to calm myself down after a nightmare. That was a feeling I couldn't explain in words. I'm quite pathetic. I stood up after I had settled down a little. Dada tried to support me, but I lightly stopped her, saying that I was fine. Why did I dream of that? Was it because of my fear that, even after coming back to the past, the future would still be the same? It's just a nightmare. Let's not worry about it. But getting it all out did make me feel a little refreshed. Feeling sick could be easily resolved with chi or just by resting, so it wasn't a big deal. And then, I felt something with my 5 senses that were enhanced with chi, and that unpleasant feeling could only make me laugh in vain. What a crap luck. My nightmare was already bad enough, but then this had to happen. I walked towards Million, who didn't know what to do with my sickness, and spoke to him. Million. Yes, young master. Should I look for a medic after all? Stop talking nonsense and take a look at the demonic charm. Million, who picked up that something serious was happening, took out a charm from his pocket. The demonic charm was an essential item that signaled to its users whether there were any gates of demons nearby. The only usage requirement was infusing a bit of chi into the charm. When he took the charm out from his pocket, there was no reaction. Million returned the charm back into his pocket with a sigh of relief. Phew. Young master, you suddenly talking so seriously scared me for a second. Thankfully, nothing. As Million was about to finish speaking, the charm shone brightly in red and burned away. There was no hesitation. Million immediately shouted at all the other escorts nearby. A gate has appeared. Everyone prepare for battle. All escorts drew their swords upon hearing Million's words. The tension skyrocketed. Of course this had to happen on our way back home. The fast rate at which the charm disintegrated meant that the gate of demons was too close to us. If it was a little bit farther away, we probably would have been able to get away safely without engaging in combat. It was all because the carriage stopped for me. Million desperately grabbed my shoulder. Young master, you must go back inside the carriage. It will be dangerous out here. At Million's words, I crammed and other servants back into the carriage. Then I closed the door and stood next to Million. Young master, you also need to go back in. It's really too dangerous here. I would have waited inside the carriage if it was any other day, but I couldn't this time since it was my fault we got caught up in it. If it was something where I wasn't to blame, then it would be a different story. But I had already resolved to live while cleaning up my own mess in this life. I had to do so to ensure that what happened in my previous life wouldn't repeat itself. Young Moss. Million, save your words for later. Look in front of you, it's coming. When Miriam turned to look in front of him, the empty space distorted as if it was waiting for him. A gate letting out green light emerged from the void. Green, Miriam whispered quietly. Green, blue, red, black. That was the order of the threat level for gates of demons. Thankfully, green dot-colored gates were the least severe of the four. Growling. The sound of a beast. The monster that came out of the gate this time was a huge dog. To put it correctly, it was a demon in the form of a dog. The huge dog had a horn protruding from the middle of its head. This one is a bit of a hassle to deal with. Green Horned Hound. A demon that was both fast and had enough power to crush rocks with its fangs. It was also a test subject for the Miriam Alliance to try raising as a pet back in the past. Of course, that experiment ended in failure. A bit more than 10, huh? The number of demons that emerged from this gate was just about average. Not too many for a green gate, but not too little either. Demons had little intelligence. They also had no hesitation. The green horned hounds sensed our presence and immediately charged at us. Miriam also rushed toward them, dodging their attacks and moving to cut their horns off with his sword. The aura on his blade proved that he was already a first-rate martial artist. A demon that had its horn cut off collapsed. For green horned hounds, their horns were their weakness. The other escorts also started to work on getting rid of the demons. While they were duking it out, I grabbed some dirt from the ground. Grr. Just when Miriam was dealing with other hounds, one of the hounds rushed towards to me. The beast drooled, seemingly thinking that it had found prey. I looked younger and weaker compared to the escorts, which meant that I was a juicy target for them. Roar. The green horned hound barked and rushed at me. I circulated my flame chi around my body faster than before. I felt myself heating up. My body became faster with my chi, and I was able to dodge the attack. Then, I quickly threw my handful of dirt at the hound. Roar. Its vision blocked, the beast attacked empty air. Even while it was blinded, though, it was still dangerous due to its big size. I picked up a rock and threw it near the beast. It reacted to the sound of the rock as it hit the ground. I concentrated all my flame chi into my arm. I'll die if I hesitate. While the hound was still distracted by the sound of the rock, I quickly stabbed into its ribs with my arm. Squelch. The species-specific weakness for green horned hounds was their horn, but they had another weak point that all demons had. It was the demonic stone contained within their bodies. The demonic stone which basically acted as the heart for the demons who had no actual heart. I couldn't break its horn with my weak power, so I instead stabbed at the hound with my chi-reinforced arm to pull out its demonic stone. I felt resistance from the rough sensation of its body, but the chi enhancing my arm made it easy enough to stab through the hound anyway and locate its demonic stone. Schlorp. I pulled out my hand and blood came gushing out of its body. The blue color marked it as the blood of a demon. Grrgh. The hound collapsed, just like it would have if its horn had been cut off. As I turned around with the demonic stone in my hand, I saw another hound charge at me. Roar. I don't know about this one. I tried refocusing my chi, but I didn't have enough time. Just as the beast's fangs were about to rip me apart, I saw a flare of light and a blade cut through its horn. It was Miriam's sword. Young master. Are you ALR? Miriam stopped talking when he noticed the beast lying next to me with a hole in its ribs. Thanks, I thought I was gonna die. Right. Thank goodness. I felt him looking at me strangely. It was the same look he gave me on my first day of regression. What kind of look is that? The hunting of the demons ended rather quickly. The escorts for the Gu family members weren't ones to struggle with the lowest stage of the gates of demons. They had already encountered many gates while traveling before. This was no big deal in the world that was already used to the existence of the gates of demons. The gate disappeared after all the demons that emerged from it were killed. However, the corpses of the demons remained behind. Now the only thing left to do is to report it to Gu. I stopped talking to Nguyen. A static sensation coursed through my palm. It was the same feeling I had felt countless times in my previous life. There was no mistake. What's wrong, young master? I looked at my hand that was holding onto the demonic stone. The stone that was letting out a faint green hue slowly lost its color and shine, then became transparent. It was a small change, but I felt a bit of chi enter my body. My lips quivered. I had experienced this so many times in my last life. This method of absorbing chi from demonic stones. Fuck, what kind of sorcery is this? This was an art that belonged to the heavenly demon. Chapter 15. Nightmare 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Nightmare 2. Why were demonic arts considered so dangerous? It was because they could integrate seamlessly with other martial skills. This also included my flame arts. The chi required to practice flame martial arts was rather dangerous because of how it flowed so violently around the body. The fire chi would let the user achieve explosive strength, but at the expense of damaging their body in the process. In its base form, it was an art that would slowly reduce the user's lifespan. Of course, that could be prevented with enough understanding and training in it, but nevertheless, it was still a dangerous art. And attempting to fuse different disciplines, like adding Mount Hua's Plum Blossom arts to the Gu Flame arts, for example, would result in both styles conflicting with one another and shattering the user's body apart. It was pretty much the act of biting off far more than one could chew and then choking to death on it. To put it strictly, the martial artist would at least be half disabled. But demonic arts had no penalties like that. This was the reason why traitors came from both the orthodox and the unorthodox factions after the emergence of the demonic cult. Wudong's water chi would become far sharper. Mount Hua's plum blossom arts would be stained with a lethal, elegant black. And pure destruction would be incorporated into Shaolin Temple's already strong martial arts. Demonic arts allowed people to obtain more strength than they ever could have before. This was all thanks to the power of the heavenly demon. Practitioners wouldn't even need to learn how to use demonic arts. They would naturally understand it once they became part of the demonic cult and swore their lives in service to the heavenly demon. This was the blessing and the curse that the heavenly demon gave to its followers. Fuck. How is this happening? I received only one demonic art from the heavenly demon, demonic absorption. I was bestowed this art due to the one desire I had, which was to get stronger. It was the method of absorbing power from demonic stones. This art was the only reason why I was able to survive against strong, talented martial artists back then. However, all of that had only happened in my last life. In this life, I was not involved with any sort of demonic arts whatsoever. No demonic cultist had even appeared yet, let alone the heavenly demon. Then why is this happening? When I put a bit of strength into the now empty demonic stone, it shattered easily in my hands. It was because of how I absorbed all its energy with demonic absorption. I also felt that more ki was transmitted to my body. The change was small, but my chi had definitely increased. It might have been good that I had increased my chi reserves, no matter how I had done it. But the reason why demonic humans were called that was not because they had learned demonic arts. It was because they had demonic chi. This demonic chi was also why their users' chi would turn black, no matter what color it used to possess before. The fundamental problem was the damage demonic chi caused to the user's body. I knew, more than anyone, what would happen to a demonic martial artist's body once they became fully possessed by demonic chi. But then how? Demonic stones held demonic chi inside them. And, demonic absorption, lets me absorb the chi from the demonic stone into my own body. It meant that demonic chi was entering my body. I quickly circulated flame chi around my body in order to search for it, but, why isn't it here? Alarmingly, I felt no demonic chi. It should have been blatantly noticeable once it entered my body. There was no way I would miss the insidious feeling of that chi. But I couldn't feel any demonic chi even though I absorbed the entirety of that demonic stone. I checked again, but felt no demonic chi within my body. Is it because of how weak the demonic stone is? It was only a green stone. The stone basically had half a fingernail worth of chi inside of it. Muyin quickly ran over to me when he saw me just standing there in a daze. Are you alright, young master? Are you hurt anywhere? I'm fine. I'm not hurt one bit. I told you to go inside the carriage, yet you recklessly stayed out here and fought them. What would you have done if you got hurt? Sorry, I'll be careful next time. My selfish act was very inconvenient for Muyin as an escort. I apologized to him for acting on my own stubbornness. I walked over to the corpse of the green-horned hound. The cut of the exposed horn base told me it was the first beast Muyin had slain. Young master. Like the last time, I concentrated fire chi into my arm, stabbed through its body and pulled out a demonic stone. I have to check, even if it feels horrible. I wanted to ignore what had just happened. But demonic chi entering someone's body meant that it would slowly come to possess them, no matter how little of an amount had entered initially. So, if demonic chi had truly entered my body, then it was already too late. I felt the same staticky sensation in my palm as before. The green demonic stone lost its color and became clear. The chi that had entered my body was the same amount as last time. Up until this point, it was the same. However, now that I was paying attention, I felt something different. The feeling of something I hated. Fuck, it was definitely the demonic chi. There was no mistaking it for anything else. The strand of demonic chi that entered my body wriggled and moved around in order to take over my chi. Then, something unexpected happened. Whoosh! My fire chi, instead of turning dark due to contamination, flared up and devoured the demonic chi instead. What the? I realized why I couldn't feel the demonic chi after the first time around. It assimilated the demonic chi. Was assimilate the best way to put it? What I felt was my fire chi violently devouring the demonic chi. It was something that had never happened in my previous life. I only ever saw demonic chi consuming the martial artist's chi, not the other way around. Even the greatest of chi would eventually come to be possessed by demonic chi, so how come? I had no idea what was happening. I didn't know why things I never experienced before were happening this time around. Was it because I had messed up from the beginning? In any case, it was a relief to know that there were no demonic chi inside my body. This meant that I could possibly purify demonic chi and absorb it to add to my own chi. But the problem was still there. Why can I still use the art given to me by the heavenly demon? It was something I couldn't understand. Was this power cursed to be chained to me, even beyond death? I couldn't get into such a mess again after I had just gotten out of it. Let's just be satisfied that I'm not infected with any demonic chi. I decided to figure it out later. I had a different matter to attend to for now. Young master. Seol opened the door of the carriage and ran over to me, grabbing my hand. Oh no, it's all a mess. All of the bandages she had wrapped on my hand had unraveled during the battle when I recklessly moved around. Are you alright, young master? Are you hurt anywhere? As you can see, so you are super hurt. No, it means I'm fine. What part of me says that I'm hurt? Your face. What did you say? Are you talking smack about my face? You're calling me ugly just because of how pretty you are, huh? Seol carefully touched my cheek. Young master, you look really tired. Like my grandpa. Do I really look that old? Young master looks scary, but you are not an old man. Be honest, you are just talking smack, right? The servants who came out of the carriage a bit late were shocked to see Ycol. And ran over to separate her from me. Col. You can't just touch the young master's face like that. Ycol. Made an sound as she was pulled away from me. Young master. Million called out to me after Ycol. Was taken away by the servants. When I looked back, the corpses of the green horned hounds were stacked on top of each other. It was beneficial to take in and process these demons' corpses, as their leather and bones sold for a good amount of money. The Gu swordsmen have arrived. Ha! Already. Not even 2 hours had passed since the incident began. Even if they were fast, could they really have come this quickly? When I looked at them, I saw familiar faces. It was the swordsman who had attended the 9 Dragon ceremony. I'm Hyuk Ju Yum, deputy of the 4th Swordsman Squad. Greetings to the young master. It was one of the squadron deputies who had attended the ceremony. The second elder sent us here. We came here as fast as we could, but we were still late. I apologize. I am at fault. The second elder. This was an unexpected answer. I thought he had already returned to the clan, so what was he on about? Hyuk Ju Yum looked at me, confused upon seeing my bewildered expression. Did you not hear? That the second elder would set off with you? What are you talking about? The second elder didn't come with us. What did the second elder do this time? Did he secretly come with us or something? Why? If so, why didn't he help us with the Gate of Demons? It would have been much less of a hassle for us to deal with it then. One of the swordsmen came over to us. Deputy, sir, all the corpses of the hounds seem to be clean. There is nothing to throw away, so what should we do? All 11 corpses are clean. Oh, 2 of them have holes in their ribs, but it's not severe. He was talking about the corpses I had stabbed through, so I kept my mouth shut. We can't move everything, so only take out the leather and bones. Yes, sir. And the rest. Hyuk Ju Yum stopped talking. He made eye contact with Million, who was behind me. Million respectfully bowed his head to Hyuk Ju Yum. Hyuk Ju Yum let out a small sigh and spoke. I was expecting you to be at home resting, and yet here you are with your sword. They knew each other. Million didn't say anything in response to Hyuk Ju Yum's words. Hyuk Ju Yum didn't really seem to care either. Come back after some time. Our leader also said that it wasn't your fault. Yes, sir. Hyuk Ju Yum looked at me again after he finished with Million. We will take care of the rest. Please be at ease, young master. I looked at Million after Hyuk Ju Yum left. Million was making an uneasy face, so I let him be and went back inside the carriage. I was curious, but I figured he would tell me if the need arose. As soon as I went into the carriage, Ycol. Tried to rush at me with all the bandages again, so I ordered another servant to hold on to her and settle down. I felt like problems seemed to be piling up, when even dealing with one of them was already hard enough for me. It's quite difficult to live a good, normal life, huh? Perhaps because of the nightmare I had earlier, I felt like I would not be able to sleep for a few days. ********** Gu Yangchen's residence. There stood the second elder and the Sword Emperor. The Sword Emperor was holding a broom in his hand, which was slowly becoming a customary sight. The Sword Emperor spoke to the second elder as he idly swept the floor. Thanks, Gu Ryan. Ahem, the second elder let out a fake cough upon hearing the Sword Emperor's words. I didn't do anything, really. Still, you acted for my granddaughter. Usually, elders of the clan wouldn't do much. They weren't required to participate in organizing the 9 Dragon ceremony either. The reason why the second elder acted this time was because of the Sword Emperor's request. All I did was take a small walk to see my kids again. The Sword Emperor's granddaughter, Ycol. The reason why the second elder took part in organizing the 9 Dragon ceremony was mainly because of his curiosity about her. I already have things to thank you for, so this is nothing. It was surprising enough that the Sword Emperor was residing with the Gu clan, but then the Sword Emperor and the Lord Gu had both asked him to take care of Seol's safety. The second elder had suggested that she just shouldn't go, or for the Lord Gu himself to tag along with them. But then he retracted it after seeing the expression on the Sword Emperor's face. The second elder had never witnessed that kind of look from the Sword Emperor before, even when he was active in the past. Even the almighty Sword Emperor can be weak sometimes, huh? He was active in the era as the Sword Emperor, so it was a little sad for him to see the current version of the Sword Emperor. Well, it's not the biggest problem. Then, the second elder recalled Gu Yangchen's figure. Gu Yangchen was a descendant of the Gu clan who lacked a lot. He bore the name of Gu, but he was lazy and toxic, and he would run away whenever he had to face the second elder. Even the second elder thought that he lacked the skill and grit for martial arts. He was a child that everyone would have given up on, if he hadn't been born as the Lord's only son. Even the second elder had begun to entertain the notion that it might be time for him to give up on him as well. But then, the Gu Yangchen he saw this time around had become completely different. It wasn't all that impressive that he had reached the second realm in the Gu flame arts, since Gu Yanxiu had already achieved the third realm by that point. But the efficiency of his qi was different. The qi inside of Gu Yanxiu's body was still all over the place. The flame qi within a martial artist's body required constant circulation while practicing the flame arts, even when the qi wasn't being actively manipulated. Gu Yanxiu still lacked in the stability of her qi circulation. The speed of the flow was still inconsistent. Sometimes it was too strong, and other times it was too weak. This inconsistent qi flow also meant that her flame arts would be easily shaken by her emotions. It didn't mean that Gu Yanxiu was lacking overall. She was definitely good for her age. But it was just that her opponent was Gu Yangchen. He may have had only a small amount of qi within his body, but the way he used his qi differed significantly from Gu Yanxiu. How shocked the second elder was when he saw the newly transformed Gu Yangchen. The flame qi within Gu Yangchen's body was flowing at a rock-steady pace. Even after Gu Yangchen was enraged upon hearing what Gu Yanxiu said to him, he still kept his flow of qi extremely stable. It meant that he had an excellent understanding and control of his qi. The second elder had come to a new realization after watching Gu Yangchen and Gu Yanxiu duel. That child is hiding his strength. The second elder didn't know the reason why, but he was certain. The Sword Emperor spoke to the second elder as he finished organizing his thoughts. Anyway, Gu Ryan. I heard that you nearly killed the Peng clan kid and used your little children to serve as entertainment for the people. Is that going to be alright? I think the rumors have been exaggerated. I didn't nearly kill him. So you have killed him. Will you be fine? Fine from what, sir? It seems like Lord Gu is looking for you. The second elder quickly ran away. He planned to avoid the Lord for a few days. Chapter 16. Necessity. 1. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Necessity. 1. It's been 3 days since we returned from the Nine Dragons ceremony. It's also been 3 days since I realized I could use the demonic arts granted to me by the heavenly demon. I've already circulated fire qi throughout my body numerous times to feel any traces of demonic qi but have failed so far. While it was definitely a good sign, I didn't want to let my guard down too quickly. They make me go through all this trouble even after death, those bastards. The temperature of the training grounds quickly rose as sweltering heat radiated from my body. The heat, while stifling, shouldn't be too dangerous considering that I was only in the second realm of flame arts. Still far from reaching the third realm, My understanding of the art was more than enough, but my physique and the amount of qi I could muster didn't meet the requirements for me to ascend to the next level. So, all I've been doing is just training non-stop. My muscles were screaming in agony. I had to get out of this sauna of a training area lest I roast myself to death. Cool breeze burst through the open crevice as I opened the door, sending refreshing tingles against my skin. Hey! There's still dust over there. Ha ha ha, What's going on here? As I got closer, faint outlines became more recognizable. A tall, imposing figure stood next to the Sword Emperor, monitoring him as he diligently swept the floors. It was a familiar figure, one with broad shoulders, over 8 feet tall and an unruly mane of white hair, a sign of his age that seemed to serve no purpose other than to show a wild contrast to his comically large muscles. It was none other than the second elder. Oi! Sweep with more care. Over here, there's still dust everywhere. What's this crazy old man doing? The second elder, who had seemed so imposing from a distance, was manically pointing at the Sword Emperor and ordering him around. I never thought I would see the day when the great Sword Emperor got in trouble for something so mundane as poor cleaning technique. Look at this. It's as though you've never touched a broom your whole life. The specks of dust still lying around were so sparse that one could barely see it even after enhancing their vision with chi. Well, this is certainly something I wish I hadn't stumbled upon. Both the second elder and the Sword Emperor were active at around the same era. They definitely knew each other. So what is this farce that I've stumbled across? What are you doing here, Lord Second Elder? Oh. You are here, Yangchen. Did you come here just to bully an elderly man? The Sword Emperor may have asked me to call him by his name, but knowing his true identity, I couldn't possibly bring myself to do it. I mean, this old man can't even sweep correctly. TSK, he shouldn't be paid at all if he always works like this. But, I don't see any dust, though. Isn't it clean enough? Absolutely not. If this is the standard you hold, it's no wonder this place is always so dirty. What was he on about? To a normal human being, this place would look completely spotless. The servants and even YC Dada worked hard to keep it this way. So what was with this strange behavior? Was he purposefully trying to get on the Sword Emperor's nerves? No. Surely a respected elder of a reputable clan wouldn't do such a petty thing. Surely. Right. Is the Sword Emperor fine with this? The Sword Emperor, who had a smile on his face as he always had, didn't pay any attention to him. He just kept sweeping. Ha ha ha, of course, a person that got the title of Sword Emperor wouldn't get pissed at such. Ha ha ha. Never mind, he's fuming. When I looked closely, I saw veins starting to form on his face. As I tried to get some distance from the ticking time bomb, I was caught by the second elder. Have you just finished your training? Yes, senior, as you can see. What's the matter, sir? Nothing. Your escort was waiting for you over there, by the way. The second elder pointed to the entrance of my house. Million. Had he been waiting outside for me? I thought I told him to come inside if he needed to tell me something. Thank you, senior. I'll be leaving. You are leaving. Ha. I was going to make my way towards Million, but the second elder stopped me. Are you hungry by any chance, Yangchen? This old man brought something really delicious. The young master had already finished his meal earlier. The second elder was unceremoniously cut off by the Sword Emperor. Ha! You have some nerve to dare to interrupt the conversation between two members of the prestigious Gu clan. Why are you acting like this, second elder? I stopped in the middle of my sentence as I felt the temperature drop a few degrees. What's with this sudden bad premonition that I feel? My honed instincts were screaming at me to get out of there. The unsettling feeling came from the Sword Emperor, who was still sweeping. I wasn't sure, but it seemed the Sword Emperor was signaling for me to leave. If that's the case, I'll gladly heed your warning. Lord Second Elder, I have something urgent that needs to be taken care of. Then this old man will also take care, senior. I didn't stop to hear what he said after that. If I stayed there any longer, I'd definitely get caught up in something bad. I quickly fled, running away from the second elder, who was still trying to stop me from leaving. After Gu Yangchen left, the second elder and the Sword Emperor stood in awkward silence outside the training area. The second elder's eyes darted across the perimeter nervously. There are too many trees in front of the wall. Do I have to jump over the roof? He was looking for a way to escape. Watching the almighty Sword Emperor do paltry housework lit a mischievous spark within the second elder. Seeing a man as powerful as him simply sweeping the floors was ridiculous, after all. So he could admit that he may have gotten a bit too immersed in his teasing. But, of course, it was to be expected of a man whose nature was to act before thinking. The second elder felt a foreboding sense of danger for the first time in years. I went too far. Although the Sword Emperor Wei Hyagun may appear to be a feeble old man, it was impossible to mistake the bloodlust that emanated from him. A sword fanatic who immediately slaughters his enemies on sight. To the unorthodox faction, the Sword Emperor was a psychopath who hunted and killed them without mercy. The Sword Emperor never hesitated to hunt down evil after all. Gu Ryun. The second elder's hair prickled as the atmosphere became icy. It was a feeling he hadn't felt in a while. Ahem. Could it be that you are angry, senior? I was just being a little playful. With how I treated you, I'm sure Gu Yangchen wouldn't notice who you were. That child really is magnificent. He was different 2 days ago, he was different yesterday, and today he is different yet again. The second elder, who had been busy searching for an exit, was caught off guard by the comment from the Sword Emperor. Every day he changes. When the Sword Emperor first met Gu Yangchen, all he saw was just a son of the Gu clan. The Sword Emperor may have been taught not to judge a person based solely on their rumors, but that was all to it. In comparison to other members of the Gu clan, his fire chi wasn't anything to write home about, and his own natural talent seemed to be even less impressive. He was just the son of the Gu clan and only that. That was the Gu Yangchen the Sword Emperor knew. But now, he recalled Gu Yangchen's figure that had just left. His fire chi hadn't increased, nor did it get hotter. But it was stable. The Gu clan's fire chi was known to be the most ferocious in the orthodox factions, only Ping clan's chi could contend with it. It wasn't easy to keep such untamable chi from fluctuating. It required one to possess both natural talent and to train for many years. But Gu Yangchen was still so young, so he couldn't have trained for that long. So it had to have been his talent. While it didn't feel all that special, fire chi of that nature is almost impossible to achieve at his age. I was also surprised when I saw him at the ceremony. It may have been a while since I last saw him, but I didn't expect that he'd change that much. Are you telling me he wasn't like that the last time you saw him? It was only 3 months ago that he ran away saying that he couldn't bear to train. The kid that had acted so immaturely changed had grown up so suddenly. The time he spent training now wasn't even in the same realm as the meager amount he had spent before. According to his servants and escorts, so long as he wasn't eating or sleeping, he was training. And the training he did was no laughing matter either. The Sword Emperor, who always kept an eye on him, knew that Gu Yangchen never slacked in his training. What made that child wake up all of a sudden? It was obvious that humans changed over time, but there had to be a reason behind each change, something that drove them to do something different. That was the law of nature. What caused Gu Yangchen to change? The Sword Emperor was endlessly curious. You're thinking too hard on this one. The second elder clicked his tongue at the Sword Emperor. In his view, old age had left the Sword Emperor with too much time to ponder things over. Something good is still in the realm of being good. Why do things have to be complicated? For the second elder, he was just glad that all his previous issues regarding Gu Yangchen had been resolved. What would the first elder think about this? The second elder recalled the conversation he had with him. He had been worried about introducing the idea of Gu Yangchen becoming the next lord to the first elder in fear that he'd be opposed to it. Gu Yangchen had lacked a good work ethic, and without any talent to compensate, the idea simply hadn't been feasible. The second elder was relieved his biggest worries were left unfounded. Senior, sometimes it's best to keep things simple. It is what it is. There was no way the elder's words would reach the Sword Emperor. Especially since the Sword Emperor's family was involved. Thank you for the advice. The Sword Emperor showed his gratitude regardless. Ahem. Well, now that we are done here, I'll take my leave. Where do you think you're going? I mean, I've met with both you and Gu Yangchen, so I have other things to attend to. Gu Ryan, don't we still have something important to discuss? I haven't got a clue what you're talking about. The second elder paused as he felt the mood shift once again. The Sword Emperor, who had a languid smile on his face, spoke calmly. Why don't you keep coaching me on my sweeping? I'm very eager to learn. The second elder was suddenly reminded of his past actions. It seems he hadn't been forgiven that easily after all. This man who gets easily butthurt. The very instant the Sword Emperor took a step towards the elder, the second elder jumped over the roof. He had been planning the escape route the whole time. Asterisk 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 dot thud thud. What's going on outside? Why is it so loud? I heard yesterday that a new building is being built in the clan. Really? It must be a big project for me to hear it from here. Something about that noise felt off, but I shook off the odd feeling. I couldn't afford to think about insignificant things like a new building being built right now. As I walked towards the entrance, Muyin seemed to have something important for me since he looked restless. Thus, I couldn't help but inquire what was up with him. In his hands was a letter containing the exact message I had been waiting for. Your request, I'll accept it. I gave a big smile as I received the news. I didn't have to ask where this letter was from. How Clan has finally contacted me. Chapter 17. Necessity, 2, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Necessity, 2. I put the letter inside my pocket and went out to the streets with Muyin. I went through the same route as last time, but I wasn't out of breath this time. My stamina has increased thanks to my training. Maybe it was abnormal for me to be tired from walking this much in the first place. I smirked at the thought and went through the alley. After I walked for a little while, I saw the same building I saw last time. I arrived at Hao Clan's branch headquarters. The only thing that was different from last time was everyone was wearing the same clothing as the branch manager. When I walked towards the building, someone greeted me. Welcome, young master. Ha! You are formally dressed this time. I apologize for the last time. It was the man who cursed at me last time. He was a completely different person now that he was all dressed up formally. I don't mind, so where do I need to go? Cellar like the last time. No need for that, young master. When I turned to the voice, I saw Duan Chu walking down the stairs. Different from last time, huh? You are here right away. I should be here right away for our precious customer. You're telling me that I wasn't a customer last time then? Duan Chu chuckled at my small joke. I also didn't push this matter any further. I could have if I wanted to, but I wanted to get this over with as soon as possible and return home. I followed Duan Chu to the second floor. Unlike the first floor where there was dust everywhere, the second floor was squeaky clean. When I settled down, one of the servants of Hao Clan brought me tea, but Muyin refused. He didn't trust them. When the servant made a somewhat annoyed face at Muyin who rejected the tea, Duan Chu admonished him. Fix your expression, you are in front of a precious customer. In a cold tone of voice. I apologize, branch manager. Don't apologize to me, apologize to the young master. I apologize, young master. I waved my hand signaling that it was fine and turned my sight to Duan Chu. What a hassle, I knew already that what they were doing here was an act. They knew that Nguyen would act this way in the first place. Duan Chu reprimanding his servant as well. I knew that it was all an act. Either they were trying to show me their respect, or they were trying to look good in front of me, which just served as an annoying hassle for me. I don't know what you're trying to show me here, but you are wasting my time, so let's just get down to business, branch manager. I had no time for useless acts. Duan Chu was stunned upon hearing my words. I couldn't read what he was thinking because of his unreadable expression, but I think I got the message through. Duan Chu spoke after heaving a sigh. I'm not quite sure how to edit the information you gave us last time. Like I said last time, the information I gave you is all correct, so there is no need for you to change anything. Duan Chu takes a small sip of the tea and finally gets to the point. The deal you made with us last time, if we fulfill your request, how much will you tell us? How much? Aren't you going to ask me to divulge everything I know? We work in information trading. We know better than anyone exactly how much value your intel has. The missing man, who couldn't be tracked even when all the members of Hao clan were looking for him. I knew about his whereabouts. Of course, I had no plan to divulge all of the information in one go. The reclamation of Hao clan's lord occurs a few years later. The lord of Hao clan is supposed to die during that event, but he would still be alive for a few years before it comes to pass. But obviously Duan Chu doesn't know that, so he must be desperate. I don't know what kind of relationship Duan Chu has with the lord of Hao clan, but they must have some sort of deep relationship, considering Duan Chu becomes the next lord of Hao clan. If they didn't have any relationship, he wouldn't even try to initiate the plan to reclaim the lord of Hao clan in the first place. But even in his current situation, Duan Chu isn't showing any desperation in front of me. I didn't know whether he was either hiding it, or thought that it was necessary for him to stay calm in order to get the information. To be more precise, I wasn't really bothered. Whatever relationship Duan Chu had with the lord of Hao clan didn't matter to me. But if they did have some sort of relationship, I had to take advantage of it. Obviously, if it's absolutely necessary to do so. Do you even believe me to begin with, branch manager? Even I wouldn't believe some random kid that just appeared, claiming to know about something important. Duan Chu chuckled at my question. Not like I'm in a situation where I could be picky. Those were the words I said last time. If you say so, but I'll tell you all the information you need, so don't worry. Yes, young master. Duan Chu didn't make any comment on my words. He started explaining about my request instead. We are thinking that it would take around a month. We could probably get it done faster if we so tired, but it won't be later than a month. A month, huh? It would be summer by then. It wasn't too long of a wait. Duan Chu spoke while I was organizing my thoughts. May I ask a question? If I can answer it. Our Lord, Duan Chu stops. Maybe he was trying to ask about whether he was alive or not. I knew well that it might be important information for him, but it didn't matter to me. I spoke to Duan Chu. You realize that your question won't really help your case, right? It was only a suspicion I had that Duan Chu and the lord of Hao clan were familiar with each other. Duan Chu asking about him only confirmed that they did have an important relationship. Of course, this could also be an act. Duan Chu remained silent. Whether it was a mistake made by him due to desperation, or if it was all an act. I had no way to tell just by looking at his masked face. Not that he would let his expression show it in the first place. I spoke to Duan Chu after thinking for a little. Ancient mountains. Duan Chu's eyes widened upon hearing my words. A mountainous area in the south. It wasn't exactly where the lord of Hao clan was, but it was one of the mountain ranges that's within the domain of the Black Palace. Not that I know which mountain he was being held in. The reason why I told him about this specific mountain was because there was information that Duan Chu needed there. This is an early payment, which is enough for now. Whether he chose to believe or not didn't matter. If you are going to check it out, you might want to bring some people with you. Black Palace definitely had security in the area. The reason why the Murim Alliance struggled to find the main base of Black Palace was because of how they hid themselves. The conversation came to an end. I turned away from Dwun Chu and stood up to go back to the clan. 1 month, huh? It was rather a long time for me to wait. On my way back home, I was buying Jaguars as if it became a habit. Obviously they were for YCOL.A. YCOL.A seemed to have gained a bit of weight because of the way the servants kept showering her with copious amounts of snacks. Breeze was blowing as I kept walking. It's still cool because it's still spring, but starting next month, it's going to scorching hell due to the beginning of summer. Muyin said so. Summer is going to start next month. Like Muyin said, next month will be the start of summer. Summer, huh? I felt like there was something I needed to remember for next month, but I struggled to do so, which made me feel uneasy. Why do I feel so uneasy? Freeze. I stopped my steps. I finally recalled what I needed to remember. A big incident was looming on the horizon. It was supposed to happen in summer. Why did I just remember this? Next summer, the secret vault of the martial arts clan, Golden Nature, would be discovered. The first clan to find the vault was the Tang clan from Sichuan, but the one who took the vault was Heaven's Gate clan, which was from the unorthodox faction. TL note. Romanized TL was Gaichin clan. Gi.Chion, opening of heaven, refers to October 3, 2457 BCE, the date when Huaneng, descended from heaven to live with mankind. Both clans were from the same area, so they didn't have a good relationship. And one day the demonic cult appeared and took over Heaven's Gate clan. The secret vault of the Golden Nature clan is also in Sichuan. I'm screwed. I thought about the whole process. The secret vault was supposed to be discovered in late summer, and I would love to take the vault for myself rather than letting it fall into the hands of Heaven's Gate clan, but the location was a problem. I had no way to go to Sichuan right away. How clan told us that they would take a month for my request, so I would love to go to Sichuan in the meantime. But I had no good excuse to use in order for me to go to Sichuan. Do I just tell them I'm going for vacation? No way the clan would allow me to do that. If I randomly told them I was going there to retrieve some sort of treasure, there was no way they would believe me. The secret vault of the Golden Nature clan didn't have any actual golden treasures inside them, but it had martial arts scrolls that were hard to come by. This was also a reason the Lord of Heaven's Gate was able to reach the diffusion realm before he became a demonic human. I want to at least stop Heaven's Gate from getting the vault. Even if I couldn't have it, I didn't want the vault to get into the hands of people who would become demonic humans in the future. Of course, it would be even better if I could have it. But if I couldn't, I had to find a different way. Maybe I'll tell Beggar's sect about this. Not many would believe me even if I told them, but it might be able to change the event just by a little. Not that I was sure that rumors would be spread fast even if I told Beggar's sect. The reason why I was hesitating so much even though I had easy solutions was simply because of my greed. I was going to live a peaceful life because I was given a second chance thanks to regression, but the moment I saw an opportunity to hoard treasure, I began reaching my hands towards it. I'm acting selfish again. I need to know how to give up when I'm aware that I can't have it. Even though I was beaten up so much in my previous life, I hadn't learned my lesson yet and was still greedy for so many things. Why did I have to remember this now? I just felt disappointed. I turned my head around looking for something to eat that would ease my disappointment. I saw steam of dumplings from far away which made me move my steps instantly. This was because of how it was so delicious last time. You are gonna buy dumplings too, young master. The dumplings I ate last time were delicious. But you told me earlier you used all your money on the Yagua you bought earlier. Hand them over. Ha! Hand them over. Yes, young master, I'm sorry. Don't make such a sad face. I'm gonna pay you when we return. Come to think of it, I don't think I paid him back the last time we did this. I turned away from Yuyan, who was taking out his money with a sad expression. I suddenly felt guilty. I'll pay him for real this time. For real, I was going to. For real. I returned to the clan after buying dumplings. When I arrived, the sun was already about to set. When I walked towards the entrance, YC old Dada hopped over to me to retrieve my outer garment, and I gave Yagua to her along with the clothing. She smiled upon seeing the Yaguas, and ran over to the servants happily, which made me feel satisfied. I'm a bit bummed out about the whole Golden Nature secret vault incident, but it wasn't mine to begin with. I was a fool for being disappointed about something that I had no relationship with in the first place. But what can I do if there is no solution to this problem? Is what I thought, but... My name is Gu Jilyob. I wish to have a duel with the direct descendant of Gu clan. The solution to the problem came to me with their own feet. Chapter 18. YCOL.OS Memory of that day. You are listening at novelfull.audio. YCOL.OS Memory of that day. YCOL.OS Memory of that day. YCOL.A like today would sometimes have weird dreams. A dream where she would wield and swing her sword underneath the moonlight at night. YCOL.A would think that this dream was a nightmare. Too many people died whenever she swung her sword. Even then, the YCOL.A that killed people didn't seem to be affected at all. It was scary to see the people that were infuriated at her for some unknown reason, but the YCOL.A in her dream didn't seem to care. It was a beautiful sword. It looked similar to the sword her grandpa showed her a while back. Grandpa hated me for wielding a sword. I copied Grandpa's movements to get praise, but instead he got angry at me. And on that day Grandpa cried. That was the first time I saw him cry. After that happened, I promised that I would never play with a sword again. That promise finally stopped Grandpa's crying. He stopped crying, yet he seemed to be wailing inside. Other people say stuff like, he is benevolent. He is generous. They always use words I don't understand, but I know that he is always crying. Grandpa would always apologize. What is he sorry for? Seol.A is happy. Is it similar to how the maid sisters tell me you don't need to know yet as you are still young? I don't want to be young though. The version of myself in my dream was tall. My hair was also way longer. She also had white hair unlike the black one I currently have. She also had a pretty face. Everyone says that I'm pretty, but that version of myself in my dream was much prettier. Can I also become like that? Then I suddenly got reminded of the young master. Young master never says that I'm pretty. Everyone told me I was pretty after my hair was tied, so I ran over to young master to brag about my appearance. However, the young master averted his gaze right away. Do I not look pretty in his eyes? Young master is a kind person. He was the first friend I made after living with only Grandpa for so long. He was a friend at first, but Grandpa told me that I have to call him young master now. He told me I can't call him a friend, and that I'd get in trouble if I did. So I began calling him young master. Young master looked scary at first, but after I mustered up my courage and spoke to him, he turned out to be a good person. He told me the potato I gave him was delicious and even gave me a yagua. At first, I was so surprised after tasting the yagua. Yagua was way tastier than a potato. After that I didn't have to eat potatoes. Young master would always give me yagua every single day. It'd be nice if he also ate it along with me, but he told me that he didn't like sweets. But when I asked the servant sisters, they told me that the young master always loved sweets. And that he would eat them every day before I came here. Is he lying now so that he can give them to me? He seems to like dumplings though. Yesterday he also bought yagua and dumplings. I even saw him smile, which he rarely does. But for some reason my heart would ache whenever I see him smile. When I told Grandpa about this, Grandpa looked at the young master with scary eyes. I never saw Grandpa make that face before. Young master laughed at me yesterday saying that my face was becoming rounder and rounder because of how I would eat so much snacks. So mean, I'm not going to eat Yagua anymore. Not completely, but I'll only eat TW.2. So that young master would sometimes make the same face as my grandpa would when he looked at me. The look he gave me when we first met in the streets. Like he did when the big hour appeared during our return journey. The way he looked at me was just like how my grandpa looked at me. Why do I feel happy? Does the young master also think that I'm not happy? I didn't understand. I kept dreaming, but today's nightmare was a little different. I was supposed to wake up by this point, but this was the first time I saw this part of the dream. The dream continued on and I went into some random house. In the house there were more people who were also angry at me like before. I fought again. My body was drenched in blood. It seemed like I was wounded. Does that not hurt me? I seemed to be really strong. A lot of people would charge at me but I'd still persevere through. It was similar to Grandpa's story. In his story, Grandpa was the strongest. He would tell me he would beat hundreds of evil people that charged at him. I thought it was a lie, but was it real? I walked forward for a while and ran into a scary-looking man. He looked kind, but also looked scary at the same time. Why? The me inside the dream spoke. I had a pretty voice just like my face. Can I really become like that when I grow up? The scary yet kind-looking man responded. "Ah. You came here to save me, shut your mouth and don't call my name with that filthy mouth of yours. Tell me, when did it all begin? What do you mean? I came here after finding out everything, so don't play with me. I would love to cut you in half right now, but I'm restraining myself. Now answer. Scary. I uttered such scary words with such a pretty face. I'll make sure I won't do that when I grow up. Was it because of my words? The scary yet somewhat kind-looking man's face changed completely. Now he turned into a really scary-looking man. Ah, did I get found out? What a shame, I just needed a little more time. You. But it's fine. It's enough. Crack crack. The scary man produced some horrifying noises. His body that was changing in real time looked terrifying. You are too late, Seol. Ah. You should have noticed sooner. The man gradually became bigger. I charged towards the man looking like I was going to fight him. I used the same beautiful sword art as last time, but it didn't work against the man. What? I was surprised. Then something comes out of the man's body. Gasp. He stabbed my body. Something sharp stabbed through my body. Unlike last time where I was moving fast, I couldn't dodge the man's attack. The man just like that flung me towards a wall. Thud. And I was pinned to the wall just like that. It was so scary. I wanted to wake up already because of how terrifying it was. Wake up. I don't want to see something like this. Please. Why am I having such a dream? It was such a scary nightmare. The me in the nightmare, who was stabbed with a sharp object, was slowly dying. I wanted to call out to my grandpa. Grandpa might be able to save me. Grandpa is strong. Then the version of myself inside the dream began saying something. What am I saying? RRY. I wasn't able to hear it because it was too quiet. Then the scary man walked towards me from afar. What now? What do I do? The scary man spoke to me when he was right in front of me. So stupid, right? Both you, Seol. Ah, and that guy. Especially that guy, he was such an idiot. To think that such an idiot can help someone. Tears came out of my eyes upon hearing the man's words. Who is that guy? Who was he talking about? I hated how I didn't know anything even though this was my dream. The man started to do something to me again. It was the sharp thing he stabbed me with from before. Send this message if you see him there, that he lived a trash life. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I began apologizing upon hearing the man's words. But it didn't seem like I was apologizing to the man. Then who was I apologizing to? The man swung the sharp thing at me. I shut my eyes tightly as I didn't want to see it. Hayek. Thankfully I woke up from the nightmare. My back was drenched with sweat. When I looked next to me, Grandpa wasn't there. It seems like he is already outside working. The nightmare was so scary. I didn't want to be alone because of it. Maybe that's why, that I wanted to see the young master for some reason. ********* A day passed after I went to Hao Clan. I ate a lot of dumplings yesterday, so I woke up with the resolution to train. My name is Gu Jil. I wish to have a duel with the direct descendant of Gu clan. But who the hell is this? As soon as I opened the door, some weirdo began talking to me. It seemed like he was around the same age as me, and his sharp chin and eyes bore the semblance of Gu clan. What was annoying was that he was an insanely handsome man. His appearance and his last name of Gu told me that he was from the Gu clan. But he wasn't a direct descendant of the Lord of Gu. I for a second thought that it was a secret son that father was hiding, but I didn't know anyone like that. Who are you? So who is that? It was a familiar face but I couldn't remember it. When I inquired about his identity, Gu Jieliub or Gu Kieliub or whatever his name was, his expression distorted a little. Did I make a mistake? But I seriously don't remember. The second elder suddenly appears and solves the issue. Oh Jieliub, what brings you here? And what brings you here, old man? I wanted to ask the second elder why he was hanging around me more than usual lately, but I didn't bother as I knew he wouldn't give me an answer. Gu Jieliub showed respect to the second elder. Greetings, Lord Second Elder. Yes, it's been a while, a year, right? Have you been well? This old man is always well, ha ha ha. What about you? Don't suddenly come to my house and start chatting. So who was that? When I continued to stand with a confused look, the second elder looked at me pathetically. Yangchen, you seriously don't know who that is? That's why I'm asking for the third time. What do I do with you? You have a memory span of a goldfish. Why is this old man suddenly insulting me so early in the morning? Jieliub is the grandson of the first elder. I looked at Jieliub at the second elder's words. The first elder is that annoying old man. The blazing rain sword, Gu Changjun. My father's uncle, and the brother of my grandfather. He wasn't a man I particularly liked. I may always think of the second elder as a hassle, but I'm also always grateful to him. This was because of how he never gave up on me. But the first elder was different. There was a lot I could say about him, but I didn't want to really think about him. Anyway, he is the grandson of the first elder. You don't know even though you guys saw each other a few times. Even when he told me that, I couldn't remember. He seemed to remember me, but I had no memories of him. That seemed to piss off Gu Jieliub a little, which made his lips quiver. I saw that and immediately apologized. Sore. Makes sense. You'd want to forget me in embarrassment after getting destroyed by me. What did you say, you bastard? But, it is disappointing to see that you haven't changed one bit even after 1 year. Lord Second Elder. What's up? This kid is the grandson of the first elder, all right, he's just like him. The second elder didn't respond, but his expressions told me that he agreed. The kid was just like the first elder I remembered. He continues to speak, not caring about what I said. HAA. It's not right to bully the weak, but it is mandatory. I once again challenge you into a duel. Young master. The person who cut off Gu Jieliub and appeared was Yseol.ah. Idiot. For some reason Yseol.ah was in a half-drenched state. Her wet clothing was slightly revealing her bare skin. She didn't even have shoes on as she seemed to be in a hurry. I quickly grabbed a blanket and wrapped Yseol.ah with it. What are you doing? What if the others see you like this? Young master. I had a nightmare, young master. Gu Jieliub cut off Yseol.ah. When I looked at Gu Jieliub, his eyes were right on Yseol.ah. I noticed his eyes were shaking a little with his face slightly blushing. Who is this lady? This bastard. Chapter 19. Things one shouldn't dare to touch. 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Things one shouldn't dare to touch. 1. This bastard. His annoying blushed face, his irritating quivering eyes, and his vexing gaze that was embarrassed to even make eye contact with her. Such behavior told me that he definitely fell for her at first sight. It kind of made sense because of how alluring she looked with her slightly wet hair and her restless eyes. Unless you were trained for many years and reached the peak of wisdom, her appearance was enough to make anyone get charmed by her. Even I was a little shocked by her appearance, so it made sense for that guy to be like that. He was completely hooked by her. Tisk, Yseol.ah looked at me confused as she didn't know what was going on. I was a bit annoyed so I pulled away Yseol.ah a little more. Then Gu Jieliub quickly fixed his expression, but he couldn't do anything about his already blushed face. The second elder who was next to us looked at Gu Jieliub, while failing to hide his smile. He wants to tease him but look at him holding back. He was a mean old man to say the least. Ahem. Ahem. Gu Jieliub let out a fake cough to break the awkward silence. Not like that would fix the awkwardness here. I'll say it again, I, Gu Jieliub, wish to have a duel with the direct descendant of Gu clan. At least look me in the eyes when you talk, you fucker. I noticed his eyes that kept glancing at Yseol.ah. I waved my hand signaling him to return back. Duel my ass, go back. I'm not interested. I already knew it was a hassle. It was disrespectful to me in the first place that he challenged me into a duel when he just randomly appeared. He even behaved in a condescending manner towards me. I had all the rights to deny his request. Not liking my answer, Gu Jieliub retorted. Are you scared? Yes, I'm so scared. You are still weak. You choose to run away even at stuff like this, right, I'm really weak. Of course. I listened to his ramblings with one ear and let it out the other ear, which made Gu Jieliub's skin underneath his eyes shake. His rough grunts told me that he was very angry. But what could he do about it? I'm the one who has the right to decide. Challenging me to a duel randomly early in the morning, I had all the reason to deny. As Gu Jieliub was reaching his limits, the second elder asks him, Jieliub, what's the reason you want to duel him for? Is it because of the first elder? The first elder. Gu Jieliub paused at the second elder's question, but didn't answer. But Gu Jieliub's small pause told me everything that I needed to know. Sorting ranks amongst the clan. No wonder why such a random thing was happening. I knew I shouldn't have caused any trouble with Gu Yanxio in our duel. Every member of the Gu clan knew about the first elder's ambition for power. But no one was able to do anything about his ambition because of me. A direct descendant who was lacking in every field. A future lord solely because of the fact that I was the only male heir, but I was lacking and my mother was a concubine. Thus, the first elder's ambition was held off for a while, but he wanted to see through his aspiration for power till the end. However, his desire was shaken. Because of the fact that I won against Gu Yanxio in our duel. Most people said that I was just lucky, but it wasn't particularly good news to the first elder. Is that why he is doing such childish things? I was annoyed by the fact, so I was planning to go to the training area and ignore the situation, but the second elder spoke to me. It must have been a long trip for him, so why don't you just accept? When I looked at the second elder's face, fun was written all over it. He was having weird thoughts again. Lord Second Elder, you really want me to get beat up and lay flat on the ground? Why do you keep doing this to me? The second elder, whilst looking at both me and Gujiliub, responded with a smile. This old man doesn't think that our Yangshan will go down that easily. This old man. I looked at Gujiliub with a distorted expression. I knew from a slight glance. This one's going to be bit tough. It was certain. This annoying kid was stronger than Gu Yanxio. I couldn't really tell how much chi he possessed, or what martial art realm he was in. However, my senses were telling me that even though his understanding of martial arts and chi were lower than Gu Yanxio's, that didn't necessarily mean that Gu Yanxio was stronger. It was one of the reasons why I won against Gu Yanxio. Whatever you say, I won't duel. I don't want to be involved in this rank sorting bullshit. The second elder frowned in disappointment. A man of that stature making such a face gave me quite the goosebumps. Gujiliub made an annoyed face when things weren't going his way. That fit right into his annoyingly handsome face. Then he suddenly talked to Yseol. You are the servant of the clan. He didn't stutter, but he couldn't hide his quivering voice. Yseol. Who had a blanket wrapped around her, tilted her head in confusion upon hearing his words. Then Gujiliub flinched upon seeing her gaze again. Why is this bastard suddenly having a duel with himself? Yes. I'm a servant. Gujiliub fixed his posture after hearing her words, then he talked to her while looking at me. Young lady, instead of serving a weakling like him, how about coming to me instead? I can treat you better in a better environment. What kind of shitty deal is that? How are you going to treat her better, huh? His blushed face only served to annoy me even more. I felt that it wasn't right, so I spoke to interfere. What kind of shitty? I like the young master. It was the first time since my regression that I heard Yseol speaking in a serious tone. Not only me, even the second elder and Gujiliub's eyes both widened in shock. I won't go to anyone else but the young master. My heart was stunned at her words. Not good. This wasn't good. I rubbed my chest with my hands. This was not good. This was a curse worse than the one the heavenly demon cast upon me. I thought I would be free from the curse after death, but it wasn't good that this was happening. Yseol. Was looking at me. What kind of emotion dwelled in her eyes? What I knew for certain was that I couldn't afford to look at her for longer. I turned my gaze towards Gujiliub. This shock made him lose control of his expressions. A sour expression lingered across his face. I heaved a deep sigh and stood up. I walked past Gujiliub and spoke. Come, I'll accept the duel or whatever. I heard a weird "oh" from behind. It was obviously the second elder. Gujiliub grinded his teeth and followed me. Was he happy that he had someone to take out his anger on? Why am I always involved in these annoying things? Why, of course, it was all because of how I caused it. Right. It was exactly that. Fuck me. Maybe I shouldn't have accepted. That was the thought I had as soon as I entered the training area. Why do I always regret things after I've already blown it out of proportion? I really didn't like myself. Crack, crack. I was stretching my body as cracking sound resounded from all over my body. I asked the second elder when he looked at me weirdly while I was stretching. Why did you tell me to accept this duel? This old man didn't, you accepted yourself, Yangshan. You offered the idea at first, and it's partly your fault that you didn't stop me and instead became happy about this whole thing happening. I retorted with words that had the same connotations as the second elder when he said something similar back in the Nine Dragons ceremony when he beat up Peng Wu Jin. The second elder laughed upon noticing what I did. Right. I guess this old man is partly at fault. So why did you offer me to duel him? Because of the first elder. He used his telepathic voice since the conversation wasn't all that great. My head ached slightly as it's been a while since I had heard a telepathic voice in my head. What does that mean? I just responded normally since I couldn't respond back to him telepathically. Then the second elder responded with a dumbfounded look. Can't you at least be a little careful about your response when I talk to you telepathically? Doesn't really matter, right? Sigh. The second elder let out a brief sigh. The first elder's ambition is big. You probably know this already. A little bit of ambition never hurts, but him using his own blood to make his ambition come to fruition doesn't really look good for the clan. Like the second elder said, this duel decided the position of the ranks. If I lost here, then Gujiliab's reputation in the clan would go up. But if he loses and I win, the backlash would be much worse. Gujiliab probably couldn't even imagine that he would lose to me. The first elder sent Gujiliab here for us to have a duel, because he thought that there was no way that he'd lose against me. It just seems a bit desperate. I couldn't figure out why the first elder was acting this way. What made him act in such a hurry? I spoke to the second elder after hearing his words. How about I get something from you since I'm doing such a hassle of work? If I win against that kid, please do me a favor. Why do I have to do you a favor if you win against him? I'll just lose while rolling on the floor if you don't want to. How foolish of you. If you lose here, then the chance of you becoming the Lord in the future. Lord Second Elder, you keep expecting me to have the desire to become the Lord. I walked towards Gujiliab as I was done stretching. But I have no intention of becoming the Lord. The second elder gasped upon hearing my shocking words. Does everyone really think that I want to become the Lord? I left all that greed behind in my previous life. I thought in my head. Was that greed? Was it undeserving of me? No, it was just a useless thing for me. What becoming the Lord meant, what you have to live with when you become the Lord. I knew it to the point that I was disgusted. Done stretching. Almost. Gujiliab wielded his wooden sword. Now that I was standing right in front of him, I knew for sure. He was much stronger than Guyancio. When I was ready for the duel, Gujiliab suddenly apologized. I feel sorry for the young master. What are you talking about? Last year, the duel we had, I went too far. We dueled before. Yes, and you were bedridden for a month because of that. That's a long time, but why don't I have any recollection of that? The young master is too weak. Now you're just insulting me. I heard that you defeated the second young lady, but even that was probably a coincidence. Yes, I can agree with that. But the problem is that my grandfather doesn't see it that way. Right, I agree. Gujiliab stared at me upon hearing my response. Damn, did he realize I was responding without paying any attention? Gujiliab shook his head and continued to speak. I don't want to bully the weak, but the thought of such weaking becoming the Lord is even worse than that. You realize you are saying that in front of the direct descendant of the clan, right? It was pretty dangerous for him to say flat out. Swoosh. Heat passed by my cheek. It was coming from Gujiliab. It was different from the ordinary flame art that was passed down to the direct lineage of Gu. The art passed down to Gujiliab was swift flame art. The process of producing heat was the same, but rather than the explosive power you get from the destructive flame art, swift fire art focused more on speed. Is he, in the third realm? Same realm as Guyancio, the blazing heat he was producing was telling me that he was in third realm. Maybe it's not too late to forfeit what was said earlier. I heard a telepathic voice from the second elder as if he was waiting. If you win in this duel, then I swear to my name that I'll accept your request. I can't even forfeit easily now. Always in shitty situations, huh? I started to flow my fire chi within my body. The chi that was flowing around my body pushed back Gujiliub's chi little by little. Gujiliub seemed to have noticed something. Lord Second Elder. Gujiliub calls out to the Second Elder. What do you want to say? I would also like something from you if I win in this duel. This bastard was eavesdropping. What a rat he is. The Second Elder responded to Gujiliub while looking at me. Right, the deal has to be fair. What do you want, Giliub? Gujiliub then pointed to somewhere with his finger. Where he pointed stood Yseol who was eating a yagua. I want that servant. Desire dwelled Gujiliub's eyes. It wasn't just any desire, it was more like lust. And that, really pissed me off. You piece of shit. I reached my boiling point.